The Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show. Here we go.
What up? What up? What up? Oh, it's 2025. We are live. I'm right here with PSR's great right here, man. My man Wine Time and my man Moose. They do it for the college thing. It's hard to find some good college cappers around here. Either they don't want to show their face or, you know, they don't want to come hang out with us. But hopefully we got some in the chat today, man, because we got the finest. We got the finest right here, man. We're gonna have some fun today. It's gonna be very knowledgeable. I mean, I hope we don't run on for too long. I want a big shout out to T Moss and the sports scientist Jacob showing up early. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time right now. Trust me. So if whatever y'all got to do, don't let nothing interrupt you because this is gonna be like a nice little ride right here, man. I've worked with these guys for a long time. I already know a lot about each of them and how they cap and everything. And I'm gonna shoot them what I've been looking at, and we're gonna see where it go. Okay. But before we start anything into the Big Ten, my question for each one of you, we could go from top to bottom or whatever. So my man Wine Time gets the last say and everything. So yeah. But so going into 2025, Big Ten, we're talking last year, I cast quite a few bets, especially late in the season, looking at the travel aspect of things, how well USC did not do well out of California. UCLA did a little better. Bunch of little key knots that it's not going to be there this year. You know, they had time to prepare for those things, and we're going to be looking at things different. In the Big Ten, I think we only have one new coach over here, which is different because we was getting coaches every single year, right and left. The hot seats are crazy too. I mean, it's a shame that some guys are only in their third year and already considered on the hot seat. Like they're trying to get rid of my man Billy Napier. Come on, man. But you know what I'm saying? A lot of different things like that. So I want to just know, from each one of you, where the climate is inside your head going into the Big Ten in 2025 with all the moving parts. 18 deep. Let us know how you feel, Moose.
All right. Well, I know I'm going to say exactly what Wine Time's probably going to say, so I'm going to steal his thunder here. But the Big Ten is now on par, if not better than the SEC. You could argue that this is the best conference in college football. It is stacked. I mean, from top to bottom, minus Purdue, you have pretty much every single team is capable of beating any other team on any given Saturday, Friday, or Thursday. It is a really legit conference. One of the things I posted earlier this year on my X was that you look at the Heisman candidates and where they're from, there is such a great mix of different conferences represented in the potential Heisman race. And that is an indicator of where college football has changed. You used to have SEC used to be the absolute pinnacle of college football. That I do not believe that is the case anymore. And my first week one betting is going to showcase that. This is a great conference. I believe the national championship might come from this conference, but you look at from top to bottom, the amount of superstars, the amount of amazing coaches. I am really looking forward to seeing the Big Ten come out and play and just shove it down some of those SEC fans that just say SEC is number one. Nah. It ain't that anymore. So I really like Big Ten this year. Very excited to talk about it because there's so many parts that we can go into. We could talk about Oregon the rest of the show, Big Boss. We're not going to, but we have so many things you could dive into. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I like that. And my man Wine Time. Now, Wine Time, UCLA guy. We got my man Barry in the chat, UCLA guy all day. He say, UCLA in that Big Ten. What do you feel travel? What do you think? How do you think those aspects? Because you taught me a lot a few years ago in regards to the significance of the home field and different places that are really tough to play and stuff like that. So UCLA, which the Rose Bowl is never tough to play in. You know what I'm saying? UCLA. How you feeling about the Big Ten, UCLA, and all the stuff going down in in the conference over here, Big Ten.
I will say, boss, it is a tough place to play, but it's also a tough place for people to get to as to why we don't see any sellout crowds there at the Rose Bowl anymore. I mean, around that Rose Bowl time, whenever it's the actual Rose Bowl, you know what I mean? It's sold out. It looks like how it should be, but man, it's so crazy getting to the Rose Bowl. I love going there. It's one of the best places to play football and just to tailgate in general. But on other aspects, the Big Ten, I agree with Moose, everything he had to say, man. I do think Big Ten has kind of became the number one conference here out of the P4 conferences now. I remember calling it, I still called it the P5 last year, but I have to just start calling it the P4 now because it is just a Power 4 conference. Still getting used to that. But with that being said, I think that, the Big Ten, they're stacked from top to bottom. And when you look at teams like Penn State, Ohio State, Illinois, Oregon, I mean, my rankings right now, guys, compared to other websites and stuff that I've looked at are so much different. Like I have Minnesota as a number 7 in my power rankings in the Big Ten, which is absolutely crazy. I see Moose's face right there. But I'm high on this Minnesota team. And it's just going to be interesting to see because I do think any team can get anybody on any given day, especially with the home field advantages for some of these teams on the Midwest and the East Coast, especially when you get into those dog days in October and November, man, when you're grinding out ball games and you see this atmosphere and you see these fans, despite the weather, despite how horrible the weather is, they're still out there supporting their team. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited to talk about the Big Ten here. I didn't even realize that, boss, that there's only one new head coach here in the Big Ten, and that's obviously Purdue, my guy Barry Odom over there from UNLV. And he's inheriting, not a good team. They made a lot of adjustments over there, but this is going to be fun. I'm excited to talk ball with you and my guy Moose right now, man. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, putting in the work, and just excited to actually talk about it.
Absolutely, man. And I don't know. I got a couple rebuttals on some of that stuff that y'all said, but that is not what we here for because that would take a long time to keep going back on a lot of stuff. But I would like to say, though, many people have faith in PJ Fleck because he dresses nice.
Roll the boat.
But let's pull it on in, man. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing, man, because we're not going to hold the people all day. We want to give them what they came here for, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting ride. So we go in Feel Steel magazine order. It's a shameless plug, but it's like my college football Bible per se, because that Feel Steel, man, that's where I get it started at. Some of the information that you may see definitely comes from Feel Steel's Athlon, all that good stuff. I'm a fan. But let's keep going into it right now. Boom. Penn State right here. James Franklin, right? James Franklin, 12th year right here. Last year they were 13-3. This year he is returning 9 on offense, 6 on defense. Now, the hoorah about Penn State is this is the and I want you guys to address these things when you go over this. I'm just going to tell you what I digged up as some of the hoorah, however you feel about either side. But some of the hoorah on this is like, oh, it's his last chance. Franklin got to get it done right here. I mean, he is sitting pretty. He's getting 9 and 6, 9 on offense, same quarterback, all that kind of stuff helps. The running back situation right there is really going to be the make or break overall with the whole thing, how well they're able to run the ball. But DC, Jim Knowles coming over from Ohio State, I think is the biggest factor to Penn State and maybe why some of the heavies are on it. But at the end of the day, I just kind of feel like Penn State is one of those places that just the little engine that couldn't, you know what I'm saying? And it's always tough in the Big Ten because it's been for years that the Big Ten has took either one that's taken each other out. It's been for years that, Iowa knocked this one off, Michigan knocked Ohio State off. Like they stub each other in the toe, sometimes keeps them out of playoffs and all the other stuff too. But that's the temperature I feel right here. The other factor to it is the favorable schedule. They do have a real favorable schedule. I tried to look at it and pump it up different ways, but yeah, absolutely. In the Big Ten, they got it nice. Moose, my man, what do you feel about the stuff that's going on? What did I leave out in this Penn State piece right here?
I mean, the first thing is Abdul Carter. I mean, that's a pretty obvious one. And Tyler Warren, those are the two big losses from last year. Abdul Carter, and you could argue it, but he was the best defensive pass rusher in the country, expected to be one of the best defensive pass rushers in the NFL. And Tyler Warren, who was an absolute Swiss Army knife. The thing with Tyler Warren, he was kind of the guy that the offense leaned on in third down situations, whether it was running the ball, whether it was catching the ball, whether it was in him in the Wildcat. He was a major part of that offense, and specifically their third down offense. So that's going to be a huge loss. But you look at what happened with the offensive line. That offensive line, one of the things I wrote in my little moose dive was that it went from being elite to a leaderer. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to use it here. This could be one of the best line, if not the best offensive line in college football. It is preseason ranked in Phil Steele as the top overall offensive line in college football. And when you're going to put the top offensive college football offensive line in front of two dynamic running backs in Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen, I mean, that's a recipe for success. You look at what Michigan did a couple years ago with just running the ball with Blake Corum behind that offensive line that was ranked top in the nation. They won the national championship. I kind of see that here. I do like Penn State. It has always been Penn State kind of having to battle the other top teams as not the top team. Penn State, I believe, is the top team going into the season and is going to have to hold off the other. So it's a slightly different role for James Franklin. Quite frankly, a role that he has not done all that well in. When he has been expected to do well, he has not necessarily lived up to the hype. I do want to piggyback off of your Jim Knowles little thing there. One of the things I wrote here in my Moose Dive was the pairing of Knowles and last year's defense returning for this season is on par with Oreos and milk, red velvet and vanilla ice cream, burritos and hot sauce, chips and guac. It is all good. Preseason rank, #1 overall scoring defense. Preseason rank, #1 overall total defense. This is a legit team and a potential national championship contender.
Absolutely, man. I agree with all that wholeheartedly, man. My man Wine, I know you got some more angles for us. You know what I'm saying? You pump all this good old youth. I know you got more angles on this Penn State team for the people out here. Let them know what's going down.
Yeah, just a double take. I mean, I guess exactly what Moose said too. You lose Tyler Warren, you lose Abdul Carter, your two best players pretty much on offense and on defense, both go in the first round in the NFL draft. They do have another good edge rusher in Danny Sutton, who had 8.5 sacks last year in 2024. He's 6'5", 260, big dude coming off the edge. I think he's kind of be a big vocal part in this defense. That's what I wrote down here when I broke down the Big Ten, that this guy is going to potentially be a first or second round draft pick in this year's draft. They've got the best running back duo in the country in Singleton and Kaytron Allen. I mean, these are both guys that are going to get drafted in the top 4 rounds in next year's draft. These guys could have left this year and been drafted, but the draft class was so deep. You saw good players go in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and these guys are going to end up starting at some point, I feel like, in the NFL. We'll see, but that's besides the point here. But I like what they're doing there. They brought a lot of their experience back. Their offensive line, I have is a top 5 in the nation, so I'm right there with you guys on that. Drew Allery's back at quarterback. I mean, this guy's a projected first-round pick. He needs to win the big games when it matters the most, and he needs to be more efficient in throwing the deep ball, I will say, but I don't think that should be any problem when he's going to be very well protected back there under center. I like Devontae Ross, the receiver they brought over from Troy. Reminds me a lot of Tez Johnson, who was with Oregon a couple years ago. They grabbed Kyron Hudson, wide receiver from USC. That's a big weapon for him too. I know some of these guys maybe haven't played. Kyron Hudson hasn't played his best football yet, but I think he's going to play some good football there in Penn State, especially when you got Coach Kolenicki over there as your offensive coordinator. Guys, last year I said this is one of the best OCs, I think, in the country. This guy's going to be a head coach for a Power 4 program before we know it. This might be his last year in Penn State. This is Penn State's year to lose. If you ask me from the outside in, this is the best team in the nation. In my opinion, without a doubt, I think they can go toe-to-toe with anyone, especially if it's at home. They've got a nice game against Oregon at home late in September. That's going to be really nice as well. So that's going to be fun. But with that being said here, also, I didn't even touch on Jim Knowles. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Tom Allen is the best defensive coordinator in the nation. I think Jim Knowles is a top 3 to top 5. He's right there. So it's not much of a drop-off. And I think him inheriting this defense that does look good and does look experienced going into this year. It's just James Franklin, man. If he can win the big ball games when it matters most, in the playoff games, we got to see it because we haven't seen it yet. But I think this is their year to lose. I mean, like they should win it all. Like, this is the best team on paper when you look at it from top to bottom. There's a couple other teams that are right there with them. We still got to see him play ball because, like I said, they still are missing 2 first-round draft picks, but they've got some good replacements. I like this Penn State team a lot. I think they could very well go 12-0 here on this schedule. The only losses would probably be at Ohio State. I think they can take care of Oregon at home. I would take their over 10.5, but I didn't end up moving on this. I won't end up moving on this because anything could happen. And having them just lose 1 game here, it's kind of a lot to ask. Just because I know Penn State is number 1 everywhere on everyone's rankings, as they should be. It's going to be interesting to see. They've got a kind of a weaker schedule, I think, to start the year, but I'm excited. I really like this Penn State team, guys.
Okay, with both of you guys leaning towards Penn State, best team in the league, that's crazy. But Phil Steele did rank them first, so it's not too crazy. Maybe I'm just crazy. But let's talk about Drew Aller. I want to know where you guys think. That's the head of the whole thing right there on the offense. Drew Aller, Heisman, maybe Heisman finalist.
He doesn't need to be though. Like he doesn't need to be a Heisman guy.
True, but if he does, like you guys are saying, 1 loss, if they got a 1-loss team and he's at the head of it, I'm pretty sure the stats and everything line up.
It's going to help him a lot to have those 2 guys in the backfield who are very experienced in this Coach Koldenicki offense. I think it's going to be a run heavy, and also we're going to see those guys catch the ball out of the backfield. I just think Drew Aller needs to not make the mistakes, throw the picks in the red zone when they're driving and burn drives like that. This guy, I know a lot of people don't watch the Big Ten media and stuff, but he said something about like he can make every single throw on the field, and he's going to prove that this season. He still has to prove that to me because his deep ball, he's been a little inaccurate when he throws the ball downfield. But like I said, it shouldn't be a problem with this offensive line that's in front of him. This is one of the best offensive lines in the country, and Drew Aller's a projected first-round pick, which is kind of crazy because last year I didn't think that, but he showed a lot of heart in some games. So I do think he has the ability. It's just if he can it's him and Franklin. If they can execute in the big moments, sky's the limit for this team. They can win it all.
Yeah.
Well, before we go to the next, I'll just say I got them at 2 losses. Maybe to Ohio State, and then they'll get caught with their pants down one time, and they got 2 losses coming. 2 losses in the Big Ten could lead you out of the playoffs. It's going to be so tight inside of there. 18 teams. I'm pretty sure they get 2 or 3 picks in there, maybe 4. You got to be top 3, and 2 losses might not get you over there with Ohio State on the move, and there's a couple sleepers in the Big Ten that could shock us, pretty similar to what Indiana did last year. But let's keep it moving. Next up, one of the teams that I like this year coming back. I mean, they got motive here. Back-to-back national championships is always a motive. Ryan Day, 8th year here, 14-2 last year. Many could say Ohio State kind of, I won't say lucked up their way in there, but some things slid in their favor to give them that second win in the college playoffs. But I'm a Notre Dame fan. People might consider that hate, and it's not hate, okay, people? But this Ohio State, the quarterback situation here is crazy. They got the top player on offense and on defense, with the receiver over there and the guy over there and the linebacker, I believe it's at Ohio State. Those 2, I'm not good with names, y'all, so I always could spot it, but I use my guy Moose for the names, and Wine does good on that too. But anyways, y'all know who I'm talking about. But anyways, yeah. Those 2 guys are top in the nation at their positions right now. So they do have good weapons. They coming back. They got a favorable schedule, believe it or not. The quarterback room is the biggest problem on Ohio State this year. Everything else you could pretty much say they could fix. Ryan Day never really had to dive too deep into the transfers portal. All his players are homegrown. I'm pretty sure there's depth. There's been depth for the last 8 years when he's been here, or 7 years, should I say, that he's been here. With the playoffs and, the quest for back-to-back, doing something a lot of people has never done, I think Sagib is a big motive. But this team this year has to find an identity of what they do good and what they do bad fast. By the second or third game of the year, they need to know the quarterback situation, if they're going to be focusing on running the ball, the defense, I think, is going to be Trump tight. They did lose some players, but like I said, it's his squad, it's his team. Everybody's homegrown, so the defense is going to land on their feet. But the offense always have had doubts. The offense has always, kept them out of coming back in some situations, especially against Michigan. But the offense have always been sometimes the downfall to this team. So new quarterback is crucial for these guys. What do you guys think about the quarterback coming in right here in the quarterback room? And where are you guys with Ohio State in 2025?
I'm not sure what we're going to get from Julian Sand. I'm just not sure what we're going to get. He is the number one quarterback prospect. I think he's tied with Archie Manning as the number one quarterback prospect in the nation. And what that brings a very wide range of performance expectations. You look at the quarterback history that has played out under Ryan Day. He's had the luxury of just having somebody develop within his own program that has not come in necessarily as a true freshman. That you look at all the way back to Justin Fields, Cadillac Jones. I mean, all those guys were on the depth chart that got to see other players perform in front of them, and then they got their opportunity. This is going to be the first time in a while. I think this is the first time since Brian Day's second or third year where he is going to be starting a true freshman in the beginning of the year. This might actually be the first time he's done it. I don't have the note in front of me, but he's also got the number 3 quarterback prospect behind him. So what's the leash going to be like for saying at quarterback? And I don't know. We don't know that. A key indicator of what the offense might look like is they brought in Brian Hartline as their offensive coordinator, who's a former receiver. We remember him with the Dolphins back in the day. And you look at the wide receiver group. Let me just go through it real quick, and I'll give you a quick description of their athletic abilities. Jeremiah Smith, dog. Carnell Tate, dog. Brandon Inniss is somewhat unknown, but did play 16 games last year as a depth piece and is the number 2 ranked wide receiver prospect. So he fits the formula. Dog. Amika Ibuka does leave, and he was the only other receiver to have over 1,000 yards last year. So you're going to have somebody step up, but you have a dog house at receiver. Can Sand get the ball to them? Is the offensive line strong enough to give him protection? And the offensive line is legit, but left tackle could be a bit of a concern. It's a Rice transfer that has come over, and he is massive. He is 6'6", 357 pounds of pure meat. And that could be an issue, though, with some of those faster edge rushers that utilize more of their speed technique more than just the power move. That is one of the things I want to look at is, will Sand have enough protection, and will he be able to utilize the doghouse at receiver for the defensive side of the ball? Matt Patricia coming in takes over as DC, the same guy that has had a lot of controversy surrounding him and how he handles his defensive players, but he's going to use a flexible hybrid version of the 3-4-4-3. He does get about half of the tackles that returned from last year. The edge rushers are extremely talented and could emerge as some of the best edge rushers in the country. I think this is one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the Big Ten. It is preseason projected rank as the 5th best total defense in the country. Everything comes down to quarterback. And also one more thing, running back. I do like that they added CJ Donaldson at running back. He is a legit transfer from West Virginia that runs between the tackles. But beyond that, it's going to be a question of who else steps up. It's definitely going to be a downgrade from what we had last year with the dynamic 1-2 punch. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of offense develops given the questions at quarterback, the potential downgrade at running back, and the left tackle concerns going into the season.
Nice. One question for you though. Well, actually, I'm gonna tell the question, Moose, if you can respond, and then we'll go to my man Wine, because Wine is over there itching to get into this right now. But okay, first get week 1, Ohio State versus Texas, right?
Yeah.
Texas is a 2.5 point underdog at even, and the over and under is 50. Let's say Ohio State comes in there and beats Texas 35-24.
Oh,
What do you think about Ohio State then, Moose?
I mean, first off, that beats my under, so I'm not stoked about that score. If it is them beating, what'd you say? How many points they put up?
35-24.
Yeah, I think you got to kind of quickly buy in.
You got to buy in. So you mean to tell me everybody's got Penn State lined up top of the league, but week 1, Ohio State knocks Texas, boom, they're number 1 in the talks.
No, I don't think they're number 1 in the conference. I think you buy in terms of they're going to be one of the best teams. And then it's a question of, are they the best team? And
I can buy that.
It's still going to be, Penn State. I really like Ohio State, but if Sayan immediately proves that like he is the real deal, I mean, they could easily get as hyped as Penn State is, but there's still going to be question marks. I mean, that left tackle could be an issue. I mean, yeah, he's massive, but their pass rush last year, if you remember how many injuries they had to that offensive line and how they were shuffling everybody around earlier on in the year, they were susceptible to the pass rush. And by the time they got to the playoffs, they got hot. They figured out their offensive line situation and things were good to go. But this year, just the fact that they already kind of have that question does make me think that will be something we want to monitor the entire year, not just in a game against Texas where it's like, oh, they look good. Texas is one of the best defenses in the country. That's why I do like the under there in that first game. But it will answer some questions if we immediately see the passing game develop and look legit. That would answer a lot of questions about this offense.
Nice. Well, there you go, Juan. Go ahead. I see you over there itching. Let them have it, Wine.
Man, it's so rough right now. Like, does StreamYard not allow you to go onto OurLads.com? Like, I cannot pull up any depth chart right now. All my browsers are working. Other than that, it's crazy. I wish I had the whole roster pulled up right here. But, yeah, key departures from the Ohio State. Will Howard, he left for the NFL for the Steelers in the 6th round. Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator, they're one and done. He's calling plays for the Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas Raiders now, sorry. They lose both their running backs in Henderson and Judkins, Abuko, JTT, Sawyer, and they lose Jim Knowles, but they replace him with Matt Patricia, an NFL-style defensive coordinator. He's had some success just calling plays. I've never liked him as a head coach. Always liked him as just a defensive caller. So it's going to be interesting. I think he fits quite well with this Ohio State team. This was a huge promotion, guys, to Brian Hartline. I mean, this guy's been developing and recruiting wide receivers left and right for the past several years, developing all these guys, bringing them in, building a relationship with them in high school. These guys want to go out there and ball for this guy. I mean, there's a reason why Jeremiah Smith plays for Ohio State. It's because of this man right here. You better believe he's going to give Jeremiah Smith a lot of touches this year. I mean, Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football, potentially. The sky is the limit for this guy at the next level. It's going to be really interesting to see him play the next, at least, I mean, we're going to see him 2 more years in college football, so it's going to be fun. They also have one of the best free safeties in college football, and Caleb Downs. A lot of people don't really talk about this guy, but this guy, really a big workhorse in that back end of that defense for them, calling all the plays for them, a really experienced guy back there. They grabbed big tight end and Max Clare from Purdue, who's had some good production in the Big Ten as well. They grabbed CJ Donaldson, as Moose mentioned, from West Virginia. This guy, I liked him at West Virginia. I like him running between the tackles. He's a big dude. He's pretty quick, but at the same time, he's not a Judkins or he's not a Henderson either, and they don't really quite have that in this offense. They lose a quarterback was very experienced. I mean, Will Howard started so many games at the college football level. I know it was just 1 year at Ohio State, but they bring in Julian Slane from Bama. I believe this guy was a 5-star prospect. This guy has every tool to be good at this level, and I expect him to be. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. Ohio State is pretty lucky to have Texas in Columbus, Ohio for week 1 and not in Texas. That does give Ohio State the advantage, but I'm kind of with Moose in that week 1 matchup on the under because I like both of these defenses. I think we're going to see 2 quarterbacks that haven't had haven't rarely had any college football experience go into a hostile environment. The lights might be too bright here for Julian Sayin here, so we'll see about that, but he will have that side on his back, obviously, because Ohio State's one of the most hostile environments in college football. But he's still going to have the jitters. He's still a young kid out there. So it's going to be interesting to see in that week 1 matchup. I like this Ohio State team. Do I think they're the team they were last year? Not even close. I think they take a step back, but they were also the national champions last year. So it's kind of hard to say that. Shout out to also my guy Spoons Bets in there. He said OH. He's an Ohio State guy right there in the building. So I'm curious to see what he has to say about this Ohio State team. Dab Father in the chat as well. Shouts to my guy Oldie in the building as well. But yeah, I like this Ohio State team. I have them number 2 in my Big Ten power rankings, guys. I have them over Oregon. I have them right behind Penn State, despite losing as much as they did. I just think Brian Hartline, you couldn't have really given a better promotion to anyone out there. This is his dream job, I feel like, right now. I mean, other than when he's going to be able to get his own head coaching job. But this guy is one of the best recruiters. No one talks about it, but like, he's the guy that brings in these wide receivers. You know what I mean? It's not Ryan Day. You know, Ryan Day ain't meeting up with these guys and calling them every single day, seeing how they're doing. It's Brian Hartline, and I think he's going to have a good season being the play caller there. Might be some bumps and bruises because it's going to be his first time getting play calls, but he also learned a lot from Chip, I think, last year. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited, though.
Nice, man. Nice. Let's keep it pushing, though, man. I'm going to go keep it going. But my man Wine, I told you, he will tell you the temperature about the atmosphere of where they play. You heard me say, if that game was in Texas, the line shifts the other way. But let's go into our next one right here. I know my man Whoop Moose was waiting on this one right here. He said he got a whole page. Look here. I got a whole page, too. Y'all can't see that, but I got a whole page, too, on this guy, man. A lot of people turning their back on Mr. Dan Lanning in his 4th year right here at Oregon. He was 13-1, the coldest team to transition over into the Big Ten, to be a factor immediately, right? And they turned their back on this guy, Dan Lanning. He returns 8 on offense, 6 on defense. Dante Moore, right? People not expecting a lot out of Dante Moore. Big high. My man Wine put me on the Dante Moore back when he was at UCLA, but big, highly recruited guy, a huge skill set. This is a quality guy right here. The whole having to sit down and watch Dylan Gabriel before he comes in, I'm expecting a leap on Dante Moore. And don't forget, at UCLA, it was his team for a minute. He was young. We got a little excited, and they had to take him up out of there. But he sat down with a guy like Dan Lanning. He's learning the game really good. I think he's going to be a shocker, maybe even a Heisman candidate, believe it or not. But I don't see no reason for Oregon to regress right here. If they could travel well and did what they did last year, that tells me a lot. So far, overlooking the whole team, basically the most troublesome spot on the field is in the secondary, where they got a lot of changes going on right there. But you playing in the Big Ten, it's not like they got, super fast guys out there. I mean, Ohio State, a couple of the big teams, they got some talented players, but week to week, some of those guys can't compete with the speed. But the running game was very, very effective. I expect in the second year, there's no more surprise factor for him, with his coaching style and his plays and all that stuff. They got tape on him now. It's going to be a little bit different. But what he does in the running game with zone run and being able to block these guys and get these guys out the backfield is amazing. That it transferred over into 13-1 last year. I can't turn my back on Oregon. Still top 3 in my book in the Big Ten going into it. Y'all gonna have to prove me wrong in this one to say that a guy in his 4th year, I'm a fourth year is my guys. When a guy shows up in the 4th year with something at least chunky as like 8 on offense, he could have did a little better returning people on the defense. But it's all about how many homegrown guys you can get the return in your 4th year. I think Dan Lanning, I don't know if he wins it all or if he goes too far in the playoffs, but I think he does well again in the Big Ten, and Oregon is still a top 3 school in the Big Ten. Tell me I'm lying, Moose.
You're lying. Dante Moore is not him. He is not that guy. There is nothing that I have seen from him that makes me think that he is immediately going to be a Heisman type candidate. It wasn't just that, he was throwing the ball poorly. It was a lot of decision making. You mentioned it, got a little too excited and, some of that decision making. Well, now he's in Oregon, and that's going to be, excitement central. I mean, you're wearing a different uniform every single game. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than get that fresh new uni put on you. And Dan Lanning has had the luxury of having veteran quarterbacks each year. When he got there, he had Bo Nix, and Bo Nix was a veteran, and he was from the SEC and was very talented. And now you're seeing him perform at the NFL. And then he gets Dylan Gabriel. And this is going to be the first year where you actually see a young, inexperienced quarterback in the Dan Lanning system. And he doesn't exactly surround him with the best talent. Like, he doesn't have the Ohio State type talent. He doesn't have the Penn State type talent. He's got very good talent. Don't get me wrong. You look at running back, Mekhi Hughes is legit. He is a veteran, experienced running back coming over from Tulane. Noah Whittington returns, but he was barely used last year. And the report coming out of Columbus is that you're going to have the 1-2 punch of essentially Hughes and Whittington. There are other guys that did return. Jay Harris returned, Jaden Lamar returned, DeJuan Ruggs returns, Riggs, I'm sorry. But it is a very talented group. It's just a group that I have not seen perform all that much at the Big Ten level. The receiving core is solid, but you are seeing, some players brought in. I mean, Malik Benson comes in from Florida State. He is a former number 1 JC wide receiver prospect. DeCorian Moore is a number 1 wide receiver recruit in the country, and he's very young and experienced. We've seen wide receiver has had some very good results recently with those freshman recruits that have come in. You saw Jeremiah Smith. You've also seen, oh my God, why am I blanking on Alabama? Somebody help me.
No,
Alabama.
I don't know why I can't think of it right now.
Why am I blanking on this? He's like, I haven't written. Yeah. Is anybody in the chat? You got Alabama receiver. But anyways, so you've got a lot of kind of new pieces coming in. The O-line is pretty solid. But again, it is a new O-line. You've got 4 transfers that all came in that are all expected to start. You got one from Indiana, USC, Texas State, Nevada, and they are big. It's going to be a rather large line, 6'6", 6'3", 6'6", 6'8". So it's going to be a large line, and it's an experienced offensive line. And you do have a offensive coordinator that is returning, but they are using a co-OC system, which I am not a fan of. I do not like having multiple cooks in the kitchen. So you're going to have multiple people in there. The offense underperformed a bit given the level of talent that you had earlier in the year, and then they started really, clicking. The last year they averaged almost 35 points a game. They are expected to score about 35 points a game this year. But it's a lot of around Dante Moore, how well he's going to play. The defense should be pretty solid, but that secondary is definitely a little bit of a question mark, even though it is ranked preseason as the 14th best secondary in the country. Their schedule is very tough. At 10.5 wins, I do not see them getting to 11. I actually bet their win total under 10.5.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna ask you a question real quick. I'm gonna let you tell the chat because I gotta go.
Ryan Williams, there you go.
Boy. I got a question for you on that one though, Moose.
Yeah.
Late September, Oregon versus September 27th to be exact. Oregon versus Penn State. In any way, shape, or form, Oregon walks away with the win. How do you think about Oregon then?
I'll probably still think they might be Fugazi. I mean, honestly, it's going to take a lot for me to buy in on Dante Moore because he's capable of really good games. It's going to have to be a sample size from everything before. If he plays well, hey, I've seen young quarterbacks play well in big games, but it's the consistency factor. And that's something that you don't really have with a lot of freshman quarterbacks is that they are just consistent, game 1 to game 13. You are going to see those ups and downs. And if he has a great game against Penn State, hey, awesome, fantastic. But I still think there's going to be slip-ups. And I think some of the slip-ups are going to happen in spots that you're not exactly expecting them to happen. I think the Rutgers spot is kind of a tough one because it's sandwiched in between home games against Indiana and Wisconsin, 2 programs that should be very much in the mix with a Rutgers program that's not necessarily supposed to compete. I kind of think that might be a tough travel spot as well, having to go all the way across the country. It's not one of those things where one game, like I said with Ohio State, where one game I'm going to want to buy in. This would be a little bit different given the fact that I have not seen a young quarterback in a Dan Lanning system yet, and I'm going to want to see more versus Ryan Day, who has developed some of that talent, and we've seen it perform on the field. I'm going to have to see it consistently throughout the season for me to be like, all right, Oregon's for real. I was wrong, and I'm going to have to make an adjustment here.
Hey, I like it. I like it. Only reason I mention this is I want the people to know how convinced you are in to what you're saying. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And that's
very,
why
very.
I love having conversations with cappers like yourselves, where a person through their rebuttal or their side of it, opinion, whatever you want to call it, because they become more convinced in what they believe in by going down those other tunnels. But that's just some crazy stuff. Big shout out to my guy JT in the building. We need you in here, and my man Nasty Nate is in the building. Big shout out to Andrew G. Shout out to who else is in this bad boy? My man Dab. We are Spoons. OE, all y'all, man. I'm gonna go take a quick little run and wine time. Let them know where you at with this Oregon team.
Yeah, I'm in a similar spot. I do have Oregon and Illinois right there between 3 and 4 in my power rankings. I didn't really know. I have Oregon at 3 and Illinois at 4 as of right now. But yeah, I don't know about the Dante Moore situation. I saw him at UCLA. He does seem confident at times, but then at times when regression happens, it just seems like he kind of just like gives up in a way. Give or take, he was a true freshman thrown into kind of the fire. He shouldn't have started that year. It should have been Ethan Garbers from everything I heard. He won it was just kind of pressure coming in with a 5-star commit, never put that money towards a quarterback before. And then you give him a true freshman quarterback, or true freshman wide receiver and 5-star DeCorian Moore. This guy, in my opinion, was probably one of the best athletes to come out of high school this last year. If you look at his highlight tape, I understand why Simpson was a 5-star pick or 5-star product because of this kid. It kind of reminds me of the Josh Rosen to Jaleel Wadood. And Jaleel Wadood ended up playing defense in college at UCLA, but he ended up winning Offensive Player of the Year his senior year. And if you looked at the highlight tape, man, he made that quarterback, and it really seems like DeCorian Moore kind of did that. DeCorian Moore, his route running is just absolutely insane, and I think this guy's going to make an immediate impact. It is going to be interesting to see with a young quarterback like Dante Moore. I shouldn't even say young. I mean, this guy's 3 years into college football now. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's learned the system in Wilstein's offense. Dante Moore has every tool to be really good at this level, guys. I mean, he's got every tool. He can throw the deep ball. It's just his decision-making, especially in pressured situations. I can't tell you how many times I saw him throw a pick six against good defenses from the Pac-12 a couple years ago. Do you think Oregon still has enough athletes on this team to, make another Big Ten title run? They grabbed Talim, running back, and McKee Hughes, who's projected to be the RB1, but it probably will be a 1-2 punch. They grabbed left tackle Isaiah World from Nevada, who's a projected first-round pick in this year's draft. This guy should do his end of the bargain on the offensive line. Grab defensive tackle Barrett Alexander from USC, who sometimes question if he even wants to play football at times. They do grab the strong safety Dylan Thieneman from Purdue, who led the entire Big Ten in tackles last year. This guy was all over the field for Purdue last year, and he got a nice little paycheck to come to Oregon. Dante Moore does have a lot of weapons at his disposal here. It just depends on if he can actually come up in the big situations. It's going to be interesting to see because he's going to be playing in some hostile environments like Penn State pretty early in the year, places like Iowa. I have Penn State and Iowa automatic losses for Oregon and one other game potentially, but I've seen Dante Moore go to hostile environments and not perform well. And I think, sorry, I got to put my shit on. Do not disturb, guys. But yeah, I like this Oregon team. I do have them still 3 above Illinois, but I think them and Illinois are right there at 3 and 4. My top 4, pretty much every probably outlet has these teams as the top 4. My 5 will surprise everyone in here, including both of you guys. But I like Oregon going to this year, but I think they will go under their win total. They take a step back. There's no way they go win 13 games, go 13-1 and lose. What was it? First round of the playoffs? Well, they got a first round bye. So second round, I guess you could say, but I would be surprised if they make a playoff run. I'm not sure. I don't know if I believe in Dante Moore yet. He's got to show me in a hostile environment, and Penn State will be a big test in week 4, I believe. So, all
right, Big Boss, I do have a follow-up now that Wine Time kind of refreshed my memory here. Do you guys think there might be any residual effects of that absolute beatdown that Ohio State handed them in the Rose Bowl, and the fact that right after that Dan Lanning got a 6-year massive contract extension? What was it? 6-year contract extension after the season last year, and I think it makes him one of the top 5 highest paid coaches in college football. Is there any residual effect from a team that got beat down in the playoffs and a coach that just got paid? Does that change any kind of perspective going into the season?
Absolutely. They go into this with all of their horns up. The coaches even buying in this year for that game and all that good stuff. Remember that they played twice, right? Last year they played in the Big Ten championship, and then they played.
Yeah, they played twice. They beat
playoffs.
them earlier in the year.
Yeah,
and
that's
then Ohio
guess
State
what?
just
Guess what that equals? Guess what that equals? We got a new rival, ladies and gentlemen. Line it up. We got the rival set up already. Second year in the conference, we already got a rival right here with 2 juggernauts. Great, it's great marketing, it's great promotion, it's great all that stuff. But in real life, it really happened though. It was really happened on the field and all that, and it makes sense. Them coming into this conference, they got to have somebody as a rival. You know what I'm saying? They can't They just gonna keep beefing with USC and UCLA, even though they in the Big Ten. They got to get out there and touch them waters. They got to come up with a beef with Michigan. This all happened organically. So I'm pretty sure that all those schools financially is eating that up. You want to respond to that one, Wine, before I jump to the next one?
No, I agree with you guys. Let's move on to the next game. I can just ramble on and on, guys. So I don't want to I don't want to ramble too much about Oregon because you guys are gonna be very surprised at who my number 5 team is in the power rankings if we get there. But carry on, boss.
Let's go to the next one right here. That's gonna bring us over to. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry, wrong button. Michigan right here. We're coming out here with Michigan. Michigan right here. Sharon Moore, second year. 8-5 last year. I mean, they did a good job last year from improving week by week and developing themselves into something because they looked a little lost at the beginning. But shout out to Sharon Moore putting it, and believe it or not, as much as a run guy he is, he's trying to develop the passing game over there at Michigan. How's that going to look? Bryce Underwood, still a question in my mind, right? That return is 7-7. That's pretty decent, coming back in the second year. He retained a few players. He's got a good look right here with the offensive line. They got a few concerns over there. But basically, in a nutshell, from looking at this Michigan team, I don't know why Phil still has them ranked so high. But you always got to respect Michigan in the Big Ten, Ann Arbor, all those things. I get it. But there are too many question marks on this Michigan team going into the season. I got to see these guys play a little while, maybe even it might be like 5th, maybe 6th week of the year, unless it's something really juicy. So we know exactly what we're working with Michigan. I can't pinpoint what are gonna be their strong points. We know they can play some defense. We know they can slow the game down, but will they be a pass team? Will they be a run team? How is that gonna play out for a Moose?
I mean, that's a great question because you think of Michigan, you think of ground and pound. Quite simply. But one of the things I wrote here is last year at the quarterback position, last year was a hodgepodge of ineptitude. And this year there was a significant upgrade to the quarterback position. They brought in Bryce Underwood, who is one of the top, if not the top freshman recruits that has come out and is projected to play this year, but not necessarily to start. They also brought in Mikey Keene from Fresno State, and Keene is a solid fit for what Michigan might want to do this year, which is he's a mobile quarterback that can run, but he's also got the ability to pass. He can run the RPO, which I think the RPO is going to become a bigger factor in the offense. And really, I mean, you look at the Michigan quarterback position, it's a low bar. I mean, it is a low bar for the quarterback position at Michigan. They need to rely on their running backs, and they brought in Justice Haynes from Alabama, who is very solid. And they also have Jordan Marshall back there, and he's also solid. But one of the questions I had was we went into the season last year. Donovan Edwards was supposed to be like the number one guy. He was supposed to be a Heisman candidate. He was on the NCAA football video game, and he didn't really do much of anything. I mean, it turned into Mullings taking over the job, and both of those guys leave. So it's going to be a new running back position. Tight end has typically been utilized more in this passing game. And last year, Loveland was the tight end that had the most receiving yards, and he's gone. But tight end will be a strong area of depth. with some high-end talent this year. The wide receiver will have will have better experience and have a little bit of talent. And the O-line, unlike last year, where it was basically an entire new line getting brought in, they're going to be returning their center, their left guard, and their right tackle. And they also added an All-American from the FCS level. So it's going to have better experience. The problem with the O-line is it's kind of thin. Now, once you get past the starters, it's going to be a less experienced and less talented lineman. So that's kind of a question mark. And also, you are bringing in Chip Lindsey as the offensive coordinator, who is at University of North Carolina, where they have had passing offenses. So it's kind of like, okay, what is this offense going to look like? The identity has been the run, but they seem to be shifting towards a more of a pass. And I think the answer is it's not them shifting towards a pass. It's going to be them shifting towards the RPO. So which quarterback runs the RPO more effectively, and whichever quarterback establishes the better effectiveness is going to be that guy that takes over. But I do think this offense has a pretty low ceiling, and they are projected to score about 30 points a game, which I think is right around the ceiling. You might have some bigger score games, but I think right around 30, probably 24, 27, that's kind of going to be their sweet spot. Can the defense do enough to hold other teams? You're bringing Don Martindale returns as DC, and he is an absolute guru on the defensive side. As much as Michigan struggled last year, one of the things that didn't really struggle that much was the defense. And you are bringing back 58.2% of the tackles from last year, which was 21st best in the country. And they held opponents last year to 86 yards below their average. So this defense could still be very legit. It is all about what is this offense going to look like? Can they run the RPO successfully? And if they can, they will be there at the end and potentially pursue a Big Ten championship and a playoff spot. I am not overly confident that the RPO is going to show up in its first year. I think this is more of a 5th, 6th ranked kind of team in the Big Ten, and it's going to have a good bounce back year, but not a full return to the Michigan way.
I'm with you on that. I digress on Michigan right here. Now, my man Wine, let us know how you feel about this Michigan team.
Shout out to our guy Big Ragu Bets in the chat. Said what a panel to break down for the Big Ten Conference. Shout out to my guy Big Ragu. Can't wait to share the stream with my guy here shortly. He's gonna be hanging out on the beach tomorrow though, so be on the lookout for that. But shout out to my guy Big Ragu. As far as Michigan goes, guys, yeah, I mean, you guys kind of hit it on the head here. You guys know where I have Michigan in my power rankings. I have them at 9. Everyone has them as like a 4 or 5. I don't really understand it. I have them as a 7-5 team this year. I don't like this team going into this season. I do think bringing in Mikey Keene, the transfer quarterback from Fresno State, a guy that, I've talked about with DJ Big Boss so many times, just being over there in the Mountain West. The kid goes out there and he gives it his all. There's a reason why he went to Michigan, guys. I mean, they're paying him. I know they're paying Bryce Underwood, the most ever. But they're paying Mikey Keene a couple $100K to go over there because at least I hope he does, because if not, I'm not sure what he's doing being his last year in collegiate football, trying to make an NFL run. We'll see if he does, but he's still trying to. And I think he's going to end up being the starter here for Michigan on week 1. It's going to be up to him if he can keep the job. Either of these quarterbacks going in there, though, I don't really think they have the personnel on offense to really compete at a high level in the Big Ten. I do like the two-headed monster in Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes in the backfield. Haynes was the running back too at Bama in 2024. And I think those guys could be a good duo back there, but I question the quarterback. I think Mikey Keene is serviceable. I think he can win them 7 games, in the Big Ten, but I don't think this guy is going to be the guy that's going to compete for a national championship. And I hate to say it, but all the Michigan fans, if you think Bryce Underwood's that right now, you're mistaken. This kid's 17, 18 years old. He's been handed $10 million already. I mean, what's his motive? I said that about DJ Ungalungale, who's now undrafted on the Chargers. I said, what's his motive? What's his motivation after getting paid that much money at that young of an age at that point? You've already made enough money to pretty much last the rest of your life if you're smart with it. Not saying he has, but I mean, he set himself up pretty well right now. And I'm not sure. I hope his motivation is in good hands because they're paying him a lot of money to do that. But at the same time, this guy might not win the starting job and then say he wants to transfer next year. So you never know about that. I do think Mikey Keene's going to be QB1 going into this year. It's his job to lose. He's experienced. And if this team wants to at least try to compete for a Big Ten title, you're going to need Mikey Keene. I don't think Bryce Underwood's that guy. It's too early. You can't just be a true freshman walking into the Big Ten and win yourself a Big Ten title. It's just not going to happen. Sharon Moore, I like what he's doing over there in Michigan. I think he's on the hot seat though, and I don't know how much longer he's going to last over there.
Second year hot seat.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Michigan,
third kinda.
Michigan. It's just they've got so much money over there. I wouldn't be surprised. I should say at least.
Okay.
If they go 6-6, 7-5, you know, there's going to be some questions about his. But he can bring in the recruits. Look at the depth chart. There's a lot of true freshman 4 or 5-star guys that are in there right now. He knows how to bring the guys in, but they also got the checkbook to do it. I'm just not. It's going to be Michigan's a question mark. I have them as a 7-5 team this season.
Okie dokie. You got anything to add to that, Moose, before we go to the next one?
I think the boosters who play a big role in the Michigan program, and the boosters are going to want Bryce Underwood very quickly. It might be Moore's job on the line, depending on how much he listens to them. Because if he doesn't listen to the boosters, he sticks with Keene and Keene struggles. The boosters are going to want to make a change to somebody that's going to play Underwood.
Yeah, I seen Keene play against UNLV. They ate him up. He's a lot shorter than I thought he was. And he has difficulty seeing over the line. He has to roll out. I don't see a team like Michigan who at times might go double tight. They go pro set, all that stuff to bring in a quarterback. But they are changing their system though. But I'm just saying, I kind of agree with Moose. Takes a little time to put that together. That's not the thing. That's why I say, giving them only the 2-3 years is not enough because he really hasn't had a chance to put that together. This is the first step of him putting together something of his own. Before he was trying to stick to the tradition and, the Michigan way, and now he's kind of stepping out the box. But I agree with you guys too. At the same time, stepping out the box can get you canceled in today's climate. But let's keep it moving right over here to Illinois. Now, this is a coach who I liked for a long time. I like Brent Bielema, but he's like what they call plain potato salad. Like he's pro set. He's so slow. He's very efficient at what he does. He can manage games. I really like this guy. Offensive line guy too. He's got a Luke Altmaier coming back, and he's got a stacked line coming back right there, which is pretty good. I agree with most of the stuff that's going over here. He has 10 returners on offense, 9 on defense. He's in his 5th year. Last year he was 10-3. I mean, many could say this is his opportunity, or some could say this is his last chance. There's a lot you could say at this point. 5 years in it. This is a purebred Bielema. What I say is, I'm gonna sit back and watch. What you get out of this season is what you're going to get out of Bielema for his tenure here at Illinois. So, can he return to 10-3? Quite possible. Can he exceed 10-3? Maybe. Will he fall below 10-3? Quite possible. So that's how I see it. What you think, Moose?
All right. Well, I mean, the first thing I got to do is, will all the Luke Altmaier doubters please rise? I doubted this dude, man. I mean, going into last year, I was like, dude, this guy sucks. Like, he is going to lose a lot of games. And all he did was manage their way to a lot of wins. And he comes back as an experienced quarterback that knows how to win games. And I mean, all of that is great. And you look at the running back position, it was a 300-headed monster last year of McCray, Lafferty, and Fegan, with true freshman Valentine getting in. And only guy that leaves is McCray. The other 3 do return, so there's more experience there. Receiving depth is going to be a little bit of a question. You lose the top 2, but you brought in some solid transfers. Hudson Clemente was the number 1 receiver over at West Virginia, but West Virginia wasn't really a passing offense. One of the ones I really like is Mario Sanders. Mario Sanders is an intriguing JC All-American last year that came in here, and I think he could kind of emerge as one of the unknown, surprising wide receivers that a lot of people are going to jump on their props. So Mario Sanders is a name to write down and potentially track as a guy that might just jump off the page in terms of production. The big thing here, and I'm sure I'm not really giving any kind of breaking news, but Brett Bielema has been an offensive line guy, and he's bringing back all 5 starters along with an NFL prospect at each tackle spot. So the pass rush, the pass protection, which last year was super inconsistent. They allowed 32 sacks on the year, and they had 4 games of 4+ sacks, and 3 of them were against opponents. You're like, yeah, that makes sense. Penn State was going to get you, Oregon was going to get you, and Minnesota was going to get you. But they also gave up 4+ to Purdue. And that's not good. I mean, any kind of bad production or negative production against Purdue is bad. It's not good. So Barry Looney returns for his 4th year as OC. He's been with Bielema for a while. Like, they go back quite a bit. You're returning almost 70% of the yards from last year. The rushing attack should be very good. You do have a legit threat at wide receiver. You also have a veteran quarterback. The defense is going to be fantastic. You returned Gabe Jackas, who's a 3rd-team All-American last year. You also have a Wisconsin transfer in James Thompson, who was a starter for Wisconsin last year. And, I mean, they have legit pass rush this year, which they kind of had last year. Last year they had 31 sacks, and that could go up this year. They could end up with 35. They may even get up to the 40 threshold with the amount of pass rushers that they have in that lineup. And it's going to be Jackas and Scott. Those are going to be the 2 guys that you're going to look at as 2 guys that are going to be coming in. Xavier Scott was a 1st-team All Big Ten last year. And they also have another legit linebacker in Alec Bryant, who's a top 30 linebacker prospect. And the secondary is legit. They gave up only 225 passing yards last year. This year, they have preseason rank as the 13th best secondary in the country, and they are returning their DC. So this is a veteran group that returns a ton of production from a team that went 10-3 last year. And this is one of my, I'm not sure if you can call him a dark horse, but I'm going to call him a dark horse. This is one of my dark horses to win the Big Ten.
Nice. Now, Wine, I'm gonna lead you into this one right here. Now, and you just take it from there. So they saying that this Illinois team, the reason why they may be up this high, because you haven't revealed, your top 10 yet. But this Illinois team right here is that they have a pretty good schedule considering being in the Big Ten. They miss Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, some of the top ones in there. So how do you think that impacts how you outlook on Illinois is going in here?
I like Illinois going into 2025, guys. They're Moose already touched on it. This offensive lineman. I mean, you got NFL draft prospects everywhere, and Brent Bielema is an offensive lineman guy. So the camaraderie around Luke Altmaier, who has been making some money these last couple of years through some NIL deals. I've heard him been taking out the offense. He hangs out the offensive lineman a lot. I like the continuity that they have already built over there. And in this offseason, it looks like they're in the right direction to have a good season. I mean, I like this team that they brought in. They bring a wide receiver in Hudson Clemens from West Virginia. He had 51 catches in 2024, 741 yards and 5 touchdowns. They grabbed 3 different defensive linemen who have played a lot of Power 5 football and are experienced at the Power 4 level, Edge rusher James Thompson from Wisconsin. Look out for him coming off the edge right here. I think he's going to get a lot of quarterback hurries and sacks this season. I think he's due for a big year. I know Moose touched on him as well. I like the pieces they brought back. Brent Bielema, I believe in him as a football coach. I think that they're going to have a good season, guys. I have Illinois. They're 4 for me. Right behind Oregon at 3, it's Illinois. I like Illinois this season. I think that they have a good schedule ahead of them this season. My only losses I have are Ohio State, potential Washington, and a potential Wisconsin. But this could be a 10-2. This could be a 10-2 team when it's all said and done, guys. With their schedule, I think they have a very favorable schedule. Is their win total really 7.5, boss?
I thought it went up. I thought it went up to 8.5.
Okay,
Yeah, I did those things early in the end of June. Some of this stuff.
You're good. I was curious because I was going to say I will hammer that for 10 years. Right? But 8.5 is a little more reasonable. I do think 9 games is the minimal they'll win. I think they should win 10, though. I think 9, it's still a good season for them. I think this Illinois team has a lot going for them this season with the continuity. We'll see what happens next season when they lose a lot of these guys. This Illinois program, They've been kind of building from the ground up, and they're going to lose a lot of these guys who have a lot of experience, including Luke Altmaier, who I will say too, I thought he wasn't that good going into last year. He proved me wrong, and I like everything he's saying in this last offseason. Hanging out with his offensive linemen, just doing all the right things, I think, to build a winning program over there in Illinois. So I like the Illinois team this year.
There it is right there. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna try to speed it up. We already been in here a smooth hour. I want to try to get out of here so we
really?
can complete our days. You know, my man Wine Time is an expecting father, so you know he got different duties he got to do nowadays. So we got to
He's
keep
on
it
duty
moving.
duties.
Yeah, he gonna have some duties in a while. But let's keep it moving. Sig Netty, Indiana, second year, last year 11-2, returning 9-7. They must really like this guy. I heard he's a really likable guy. I mean, I could tell you all the ins and outs to Indiana, but at the end of the day, only thing that I can really think about is Kirksonetti's surprise element is kind of gone. I think he kind of beat some of those games. Some of those games were really close. He had a really good group of guys that played together really well last year for a first year. We've seen this before. We've seen it at Notre Dame, as a matter of fact, with Charlie Weiss. When a guy takes over, you know, do something really well the first year, um, it spells nothing but regression to me the next year. No way he gets back to 11-2, let alone the playoffs. Some of those close games, he's just not going to have that continuity of the
Yeah.
same group that fought well. And I watched a lot of those games. I mean, it was some heroics and everything involved with some of the things they did over there at Indiana. It was one of those things where the kids just click, you know, like a TCU and, you know, we seen the UCF back in the day. We seen all those teams where just played really well together. Yeah, some of the X's and O's lined up, but at the same time, Sig Signetti, and he did a great job last year. But I'm not too hot about Mendoza at quarterback. Of course, you know, some of the defense, some of the offense is just a part of the scheme and what Signetti do. And like I said, going into his second year in that conference, they're gonna have a little tape and they're gonna be able to check him out and you know try to cover some of those bases. Now, if he evolves and switches things around and keeps thinking and going, you know, that's one thing. But if he's just trying to install his system and keep it that way, then yeah, maybe he takes a step back this year. But yeah, surprise element gone in Indiana. Too many close games last year. I definitely see a regression in Indiana this year. Let's start with my man Wine this time. I'm gonna give my man Moose a break. Wine, take this one first for Moose.
Yeah, you know, Indiana, they lose their quarterback coaching. You know, my guy Tino Sinceri to UCLA is going to be the play caller there, but they do return their offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach, and Mike Shanahan. You know, Kirk Signetti is always going to have a thing to say in that offense, though. I like the key additions. They grabbed Fernando Mendoza from Cal. When this guy hit the portal, I really wanted UCLA to get this guy. I just think he's a gamer out there. Big statured guy too, good frame over there, and he could run with it. Just seems like a gamer. They grabbed a defensive edge rusher, senior from Kent State, Stephon Daly, who did really well in that conference. This is going to be a step up in conference, but we've already seen that Coach Signetti can make that adjustment with some of these players that he's brought in from that outside Power 4 conference. They grabbed 4 offensive linemen that played big-time football and a lot of snaps in Power 5 conferences. They've got a 3-headed monster over there at running back here. The key returners is Elijah Sarah, who caught nearly, I think it was almost 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2024. Came over from James Madison with Kurt Signetti. I think this team takes a step back despite their easy schedule. This team gets lucked out again by their scheduling. I mean, especially if you look at their non-conference games, this team should be. It's going to be really interesting to see in that game. Can you bring that schedule up one more time, boss?
Oh, that's on the slide. It's
you're
coming
good.
back around.
Well, just act like you did it on purpose. Just act like you did it on purpose.
No,
Okay,
you're
all right.
good.
Give me a moment. I almost got it.
No, I like that they grabbed Fernando Mendoza. I mean, we've seen what they've been able to do with quarterbacks over there. You know, I like Curtis Rourke. I mean, this guy ended up getting drafted in the 7th round. This guy wasn't an NFL prospect and going into the 2024 season. No one knew who this guy was, but he goes out there and that offense was absolutely rolling. There it is right there. I think they have losses to Iowa. I think they have losses to at Penn State. I have them around 9 wins, I would say. So this is an over. I'd have to actually dive a little bit deeper into my notes. It sucks that I can't pull up this depth chart right now. I don't know why. I think it's because we're live talking about college football, which is absolutely wild if they can't actually give me the depth charts. But with that being said here, I think this Indiana team can only take a step backwards. You know, it's kind of hard to replicate what they did in 2024 coming into the Big Ten. I do think that they have probably a better quarterback than Fernando Mendoza, but I do think that losing Tino Sinceri might be a little bit of an issue for their quarterbacks because he's kind of been their quarterback whisperer over these last couple of years. I've really spent a lot of time with these quarterbacks. It's going to be interesting to see what Indiana does this year. There's no way they win the amount of games they won last year. I'd say they have them around 8 or 9 wins. Still a good team in this conference, obviously, because I have them at 6 in my power ranking. So I am pretty high on this Indiana team. But look at that non-schedule. Indiana State, Kennesaw State, Old Dominion. That's a joke, guys. Like, come on. Like, I mean, their road schedule, not even good, but or not even challenging. But I still think they could win 8 or 9 games. I'm not going to take anything on the team total here just because I have question marks about this. It's still a fairly new offense. So it's going to be interesting to see here. But I do like Indiana this year still. I just think they take a step backwards because, I mean, going 11-2 is the best season Indiana is probably ever going to have, But with that being said, Kurt Zanetti's doing something with the culture over there as well. Bringing in his guys, and they're developing. They're starting a new culture over there in Indiana. So that being said, that's it for me. Take it away here, Moose, my guy. And shout out to Dutch Boy Fresh in the building, my guy right there. Shout out to you. Good to see you, my guy.
Yeah, Dutch Boy throwing in them smoke penises. So, thank you very much for the smoke dicks. Are you seeing? Come on, look at that. It is clearly in the shade. It's clear in the shade. I'm not sure what you got down there, but that looks a lot like mine. So a little bit whiter. But the thing that I want to point out here is they do bring back Bob Bostad, who is their offensive line coach, and that's a big return. I mean, of all the guys that they lost in their coaching staff, that is a major return. And he does have a pretty decent O-line. They do lose their starting center and their right tackle from last year. They did bring in a couple of centers and right tackles. They added the Pat Coogan, who's a Notre Dame transfer, and they also added Khalil Benson, who's a Colorado transfer. He did play in Indiana in 2023, so he kind of returns. The offense, I think, is going to be pretty potent. It's not going to be as good. Obviously, when you lose Sinceri, who's a great offensive mind, that's going to be a little bit of a step back in the wrong direction. But Shanahan was there, and they were using a co-offensive coordinator model. And it was Sinceri had the passing game, and Shanahan had the ground game. And now Shanahan kind of takes over full time. They did lose quite a bit of yards, but I do like Mendoza coming in there as a passing quarterback. I did not like Rourke. Everybody kept on hyping up Rourke, and I just saw a guy that was a great fit in the system. And I think Mendoza is a potentially better fit in the system. They also brought in Grant Wilson, who's an Old Dominion transfer, who could be a competent backup. And you remember last year they had a pretty decent starter and backup, and their backup is also left to go try a starting opportunity somewhere else. Ellison and Lawton were the main running backs, and they're not going to be there. So it's going to be a little bit of depth. I'm sorry. It's going to be Roman Hemby more than likely kind of taking over the reins, and he's a Maryland transfer who played decently, but it was a Maryland offense that always tried to pass the ball. So what's it going to look like when he actually gets a pretty decent load? The receiver is, decent. They bring a bunch of quality receiver transfers in, but they do lose the top receivers from last year. They were both gone. And the big thing that I do kind of want to point out here is that it's on the defensive side of the ball that we are going to see the biggest regression. In my opinion, we're going to see the biggest regression. Most of the secondary is gone. I mean, you have 2 starters that do return, but I mean, a lot of the depth is gone. They do add D'Angelo Pons, who used to be D'Angelo Pons returns, who was a Sun Belt All-Conference. They do bring in Luis Moore, who's an Ole Miss transfer. Rylan Gandy is a Pitt transfer that they brought in, and Moore hasn't played since 2023. And Gandy was very inconsistent at Pitt. He played well at home, but he didn't play well on the road. There is a lot of questions about the Indiana defense. I don't have as many questions about the offense, but 41 points is not happening this year. I'll put a good amount of money that they are not going to average 40 plus points this year, but I see them around 30, 38, somewhere in there. And that's kind of where their projections are, is around 35 points a game, 38 points a game. And that's going to be a solid offense, but it's the defense. And we don't know that. I still think they're solid. The last point I want to make here is we had the same expectations when Signetti was at James Madison, and they came back for a second year after just busting open the doors their first transition year. And everybody's like, okay, we know Signetti now. We know what he's about. He's not going to be nearly as successful. And he was just as successful. He's a fantastic coach, and I do have faith that they're going to be really good, but I do not think they're going to be in the playoffs this year.
I can feel that, man. I'm going to keep it moving. I would say more, but we'll be here all day. But let's keep it going to USC, man. Strange thing is this year is that although very undervalued USC, I kind of like, um, and I kind of put in my top 5 and really got a shot this year at definitely touching the playoffs. It's a 4th-year thing for me. You know, Lincoln Riley, 4th year here, returning 9 on offense, 7 on defense. Last year, not too good, 7-6. He did struggle in travel, as I said, which stuff like that is a work in progress. He might be able to fix that thing. But Jaden Maava, not a fan. Not a fan of Jaden Maava. USC could always pull together some receivers, some running backs, some people that can get the job done. But the defense, they did address it with the DC that they have. Was this his 2nd year? Is also, I think it's his 2nd year or 3rd year.
Yep, 2nd year.
His 2nd year here. A lot of these guys come up with great systems, and it's only a matter of time before another offense starts weakening that system. So he's only got so long to be great as a DC with USC without getting the recruits that they want and need. Even though they had a good recruiting class, being a Californian, I don't see the impact of our local athletes going to USC as they supposed to, as they've always done in the success of USC. So I don't know about that right there, but I think Lincoln Riley, because some of those games last year for USC, they were either in it in the first half or, fighting for it in the second half. Returning a lot of people from the same squad, quality coach like Lincoln Riley, I think Lincoln Riley will never have a great defense, but the DC that he put in place, I think can hold the job down, maybe good enough, like I said, to get them to the playoffs. Maybe I say 9-10 wins, 9-10 wins, really to get in the playoffs in the Big Ten. It's going to take 10, maybe plus, but I can't say 11 wins with USC. It just won't come out of my mouth. But maybe 10 wins for USC, man. I'm high on USC this year. I'm dogs on USC. I want it. Give me the smoke. What you think, Moose?
Muted.
Sorry, the car horns were going off. I had to mute myself. I am not a fan of Lincoln Riley. I think the test of a true coach is how they play on the road and how they play against better competition. Lincoln Riley, as a head coach at USC, 8-7 on the road against top 25 teams. He is 4-9. So those are two things that I really don't like. I also hate how he's handled this whole quarterback situation. When he brought in Jaden Maavia, he was basically saying, like, I'm going to give you the starting reins, but he already had Miller Moss. So it's like, okay, you're bringing in Maivea, who's going to be essentially your quarterback, but you already had a quarterback. You already hyped up as your quarterback, and now he's not your quarterback, and now you're going to Maivea. And so you'd think, okay, Maivea is going to be the quarterback this year. No. He's going to bring in Sam Heward, who is Brock Heward's, I believe he is related to him, if not his kid. He is the number 2 quarterback prospect, and he was brought in, and they were essentially put into a quarterback competition. One of the things that has been talked about in the coaches' interviews way back in the spring was that Lincoln Riley was talking about some of the decision making that Maavea has, which he has struggled with a lot of his decision making, and it's like he's essentially evaluating his mental fortitude. The other thing I really, really don't like about Lincoln Riley is when you have him in big moments. If you remember the USC-Stanford game when they were having the championship game and they were driving into the red zone, and he did this weird little shovel, like reverse shovel pass. He will be too cute in big moments because he thinks he's going to outsmart the defensive coordinator. And all those things are just factors that lead me to believe he is just not a very good head coach. He's a really good offensive mind. He is a really good developer of offenses. But when it comes time to actual decision-making, I am not a fan of his decision-making. And again, he is going to be calling plays on the offense. He will be the offensive coordinator and the head coach. And I'm just not a fan. I do not like USC this year. I am not sure they even get above 6 wins. I think this is one of those teams that, yes, they're always talented. You look at last year with their running back situation, nothing happened. They all left. I'm not a USC fan. I don't think they're going to be that good this year. As much talent is on the team, I just don't see a very good football team.
$100 million down the drain?
I think he's way too overpaid, way overhyped. I think that he is
all those all those air miles too, man. They're adding up on that private jet, man.
Yeah.
The house over there overlooking the ocean. Shoot.
They bought him his house. They got him access to private jets, whatever his family needs in the SoCal area. They got. Yeah, guys, I like both of you guys' takes because this is a team going into this. I have USC currently sitting. You know what? I'm going to put them ahead of Michigan in my power rankings. I'm going to have them at 9. I'm going to have Michigan at 10. I think USC can win 7 or 8 ball games this year, which is an improvement from last year. I think they can win 8 games realistically. They grabbed the number 1 JUCO running back in the country. This kid can move. He's very quick between the tackles, but also he played at the junior college level. This is the Big Ten football. This is the big boys right here. It's going to be a big step up in competition. You know, this is my big thing is the key returners right here, guys. Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, man. These are 2 of not just the top 10 receivers in the Big Ten, but in the nation. One of the better duos in the country. It's just who's going to throw them the ball here. Jaden Maeva, we know he can sling it, but I question his decision-making. He enters year 2 in this offense, really year 1 being the QB1 going into this year. I do expect him to start this year. They return their defensive edge Cam Fountain, who enters year 2, played a lot as a true freshman last year as well. Bring back Red Shirt Jr., Kamari Ramsey, who they got from UCLA a couple years ago. That was Deanton Lynn's guy. He's pretty much the captain in that secondary. Middle linebacker Eric Gentry returns from injury, who's one of the most versatile linebackers in the Big Ten. USC did recruit their ass off this last offseason. They got a lot of true freshmen coming in to this season, 4 or 5-star guys that could be ready to play now. But I mean, Lincoln Riley, man, you paid this guy this much money. I mean, it's national championship or it's Big Ten championship or bust. I should say national championship, but I'm going to say Big Ten championship or bust for them. I think anything short of that, I don't know if you could really fire Lincoln Riley because you owe him so much money. But at the same time, it's just when you have the kind of resources that USC has, guys, the kind of boosters that they have, the investors in their program, the guys that go there that want to invest in the program, it's going to be hard to continue to invest in Lincoln Riley because I do think he's one of the best play callers we've ever seen in college football. This guy knows how to run an offense, and I think that's where his job is. This guy could call plays probably in the NFL too, but this guy is a play caller. I don't know about a head coach. It's tough to do both things at once, as Moose mentioned, but I do think that this USC team is too talented not to win 8 games this year. I had them at about 8-4. I could see them at 7-5 or 9-3 though. It's going to be interesting to see when they play against like teams like UCLA and Northwestern, Notre Dame, teams like that are kind of question marks. I have them as loss against Notre Dame, but it's going to be an interesting season for USC. Lincoln Riley, he has a lot to prove for this fan base, in my eyes at least. Any fan tells you that he doesn't, then they're just in denial because this team has put a lot of money into this program to do win 7 games last year. It's kind of crazy. It's going to be interesting to see USC, but I do think they take a step forward this year because you can't really take a step back. I mean, if you take a step back, this guy's fired immediately. If he doesn't win 7 games, he's fired. But I do think he can win 9 games.
Hey, thanks for the confidence in Notre Dame beating USC. I really appreciate that. Even though one of my favorite, if I had to make I didn't make no future college bets, future game bets, but USC plus 7.5 versus Notre Dame.
Is that what it is right now? They already have that?
At one point in time, that's what it was rumored to be, but I would take that 7.5.
I think I would take that 7.5 too, but
exactly. But let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving. Yeah, I think we play at Notre Dame this year, but one thing I noticed about Freeman is he runs it up when he's on the road. Like when he's on the road, it's covers. Last year at least. But that's another show. Anyways, next up, Matt Rule, Nebraska. I know it's some Nebraska fans somewhere in the chat, somewhere watching. Big shout out to everybody watching, man. This is probably like some of the best information going on right now today for college football on the internet, period, right now. Thanks. But I appreciate everybody showing up, man. I appreciate what we're doing. I'm trying to speed it up, but we already in here almost an hour and a half. We had to keep it going.
Hey, Nebraska, you're having fun, man.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'm gonna speed through Matt Rule. I was really high on Matt Rule. Third year here at Nebraska. Last year was 7-6, turning 10 on offense, 5 on defense. I do expect a step up out of Matt Rule here in Nebraska. It seems that they were getting their home fans a little tuned up last year, and they got off to some good starts, and it seemed like the wheel was turning a little bit. But Matt Rule is not everybody's favorite coach. He's not going to always make the wheel turn. But I mean, I feel like the jury's still out on this team. Something that we really got to take a look. He does have new defensive coordinator from Penn State. Well, back in the day, John Butler. That may make a difference on the defensive side of things. But I think this year a real goal for a team like Nebraska is to get in the bigger bowl this year. I don't see them even, and to do that, they were 7-6 last year. You might only got to win one, maybe two more games, and you might get into a good bowl game. So Matt Rule, if I was dishing out the dollars over there, third year, you did bring back 10 on offense, 5 on defense. You did a good job. I don't know exactly what they're doing with the money and the transfer portal over there, but I'm gonna watch. It's kind of like a Michigan team. You got to kind of sit back and watch this team and see where they're going. I'm gonna stay off of Nebraska probably to the 4th, 5th week. What you think, Moose?
I mean, it's the same thing as with Lincoln Riley. You want to look at how he's done on the road and how he's done against top 25 teams. On the road, he is 22-28 overall, and he was 2-8 on the road last year in Nebraska. And he is, he was 2-8 on the road at Nebraska, and he was 1-4 last year. And you look at how he's been against top 25 teams. He is 2-22 overall, and he was 0-6 in Nebraska. He was 0-3 last year, but he did take Illinois to overtime before losing. So I'm not exactly sold on Matt Rule being a great coach. I would love for him to be a great coach. I thought he was a great coach, and then I started hearing him kind of complain about some of the NIL deals and how some of the money is being out there. And I just, maybe it's just me, but I don't really like the head coaches trying to complain about some of the NIL because it's like, you're either able to do it or you're not able to do it, whether it's financial restrictions or it's just ability to use it. So all that being said, a lot of people want to talk about Dylan Raiola at quarterback and how he is going to take a step forward. He's Pat Mahomes Jr. I'm not buying any of that. I think he'll be fine. He did set the freshman record at Nebraska for passing yards. But the guy that I really like here is Dante Dowdle. And he was the guy that took over the running back position between Dowdle and Emmett Johnson last year. I think he's going to take a major step forward. The offensive line, it's it loses 2 starters, brings back most of them. They add a Notre Dame transfer who's a top 10 lineman prospect and will be a major upgrade at the guard position, which is a big run blocking position. Dana Holgerson took over as OC last year about midway through. Didn't really change too much, but I do think that the offense is going to run a little bit better especially with you have Dowdle coming back at running back. I'm not going to go too much in the defense. I can kind of let Wine Time go through that. I do think this is a potentially decent team, but I have questions about Rule as a head coach. I really like Johnson or Dowdle though, and that's kind of a season prop.
Dowdle is now on Kentucky Wildcats.
When did that happen?
I'm not sure. I knew he made the transfer. I didn't know where. I just looked it up when you said that. He plays for Kentucky. It's Emmett Johnson's the RB1 now. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong name. Yeah, Emmett Johnson. Yes.
Emmett Johnson. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the wrong name there. So I'm looking at Emmett Johnson as being the big name that's kind of taking over and potentially a season prop that I'm going to want to back here. Yeah, thank you, Wine Time, for correcting me on that.
No, yeah, you're good. I have that exactly written down. I return Emmett Johnson, who's expected to have a good year, catching the ball out of the backfield and taking carries out of the backfield. Strong safety, Malcolm Hartzog, who had 4 interceptions and 4 pass deflections in 24, had a really good year over there in Nebraska. But bottom line, this is year 3 of the Matt Rule era where he's always had success everywhere he's gone. It seems like other than the NFL, his last stop. I mean, he's got Dylan Raiola, the 5-star quarterback he never turned away from last year. He went with him the entire season. I question his ability, man. I mean, he's got the ability. I still haven't seen it yet, guys, from Dylan Raiola to actually prove that he's a good quarterback in the Big Ten. I don't like the comparisons to Patrick Mahomes whatsoever. I think he's kind of living in his shadow in a way and kind of just wants to be like him, which is cool too. You know what I mean? You could all have your heroes and stuff like that. That's obviously one of the guys he looks up to. Matt Stafford's also his godfather. I don't know how that works out because Stafford, I mean, was Stafford his godfather at 4 years old? I don't understand that at all. But with that being said here, I don't really buy into this Dylan Raiola. I didn't like really what I saw last year. This is going to be year one under Dana Holgorsen. We saw him take over the offense last year. He came in off the street, wasn't even a coach on staff going into the year. And Matt Rule called him up and said, hey, I need you as an offensive. I need you to look things over the offensive schemes for a couple weeks. All of a sudden, they demote their OC to the tight ends coach, promote this guy to the OC. He's the play caller. And Dylan Raiola says that they have a really good relationship. You know, this guy's developed NFL talent, all this stuff. Dana Holgorsen, I have a lot of question marks about his coaching ability, if we're being honest here. I'm kind of surprised he was the hire here as the offensive play caller. I do have Nebraska as my number 8 in the power rankings, which I don't know. Talking about it now kind of has me trending a little bit backwards. Maybe they shouldn't be so high here. But at the same time, I'm not really sure who I could put over them. But I do think they do have a lot of talent, and they could probably go out there and win 7 games, maybe 8 games if they're lucky here. But this team, you asked Dylan Raiola what their expectations are going into this year. He said national championship. Try for a Big Ten title first, because that ain't happening. But we can move right on.
Yeah, man. I seen that stupid comparison with the whole Raiola, and that is sick. It's sick that people are that they out there for likes that much that they try to tie all that together. What does that have to do with how he plays on the field? Absolutely nothing, because he looks like this guy, his godfather, this guy. Get away from the prima donnas. Let's play football. But let's keep it going to where they do play football in the weird way, but it gets the job done, which is Iowa right here, man. It's this guy, Kirk's 27th year here at Iowa. Some people in the chat wasn't even born, and this dude was already coaching for this team right here. But he does things the way he does them, and at times he does them really well, and at times it doesn't work. But last year, 8-5, I lost a lot of money with Iowa. It was unbelievable. But he returned 7 on offense, 5 on defense. I think 27 years, not much you can say about this guy returning. The part that I don't like to hear is saying that there's some question marks in the secondary, because that's a part of their MO. You know, lockdown secondary, stiff defensive line, really hardcore middle linebacker section. You know, they play tough like that out there, kind of like Wyoming. You know, they just play a certain way. You know what I mean? It's undescribable at times. But to mention that there's a problem in the secondary kind of rings a bell, but puts me in the middle. Like, on one hand, they should be able to teach their way out of it easy, and I should be able to cash every time that they give me a high over and I hit that under. But Mark Gronkowski at quarterback, I'm not a fan. You know, I can't even say that I really thoroughly know too much about him. But I don't know, too much hype around a guy that was not really proven to me. But it's not like he's going to get over there and be bombing the ball down the field or anything crazy. Like, we already know what the script is for Iowa. So it's not much to really talk about with Iowa overall. But it's the same thing like every year. They have a chance to be a shocking factor. More than likely, they beat teams, you know, when people thought they couldn't, because of the way that the system that they're in. But not much on that one. You got something on that one, Wine? Why you seem like you itching for this one? What you got on this Iowa team?
Come on, we're finally talking about my number 5 ranked team in the Big Ten power rankings, the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm high on this team going into this year. I know, Boss, you said you don't really like Gronkowski too much. I actually like everything he's bringing to the table here for Iowa going into this season, hearing all the right things this last offseason, hanging out, taking his offensive linemen out hunting, taking them out to dinner, all that good stuff with his wide receivers. They've got some good returners there at the wide receiver position in Jacob Gill and Seth Anderson. A very experienced offensive line, 4 key returners who are almost likely going to play in the NFL. Tim Lester, you know, this guy came in from the NFL a couple years ago. A lot of people said that he had a lot to do with Jordan Love's success in year 1 as a rookie. He comes in, takes the play caller duties last year. I don't know if he has everything to say in the offensive play calls because you got Coach Kirk over there, one of my favorite coaches. Love everything he does over there in Iowa. Love the home field advantage they have in there as well. They grab a lot of very fast slot receiver, what they don't really do in Sam Phillips from Chattanooga. This kid could make a pretty big impact, I think, right away. I think that their defensive line is a little bit, let's see, Aaron Graves expected to continue to be disruptive in the pass rush and run attack game. Defensive edge rusher Max Loonwell is expected to lead the team in sacks after a very good junior season, along with fifth-year edge rusher Ethan Hudson, who's also coming off a very stellar 2024 season. The DB room is filled with homegrown talent despite no big names. These guys will perform, and the reason why they will perform is because of Phil Parker, the longest tenured defensive coordinator in college football. This guy, him and Coach Kirk go way back, man. I mean, if Coach Kirk's coaching Iowa, this guy's always going to be his D coordinator for good reason. I mean, that's why Iowa's in all these games is because of his defensive play call and his conservative play calls. The defense always keeps them in this game. And I have Iowa as a very sneaky team this year, guys. I think they sail over their team total wins, and they have a pretty bounce back season compared to last year, because last year, honestly, wasn't the season they expected. They do lose their running back in Caleb Johnson to the NFL. They return their backup running back last year, who also played well as well. I think he can do similar things. I like Iowa this year, guys. I'll keep it short and sweet here in this one, but I think Iowa is going to be a big sleeper in the Big Ten that's looking to compete for a Big Ten title this year. I have them over 7.5 wins. If it's 7.5, over. It's probably 8.5 now, but if it's not, over.
I heard that, man. We'll see how that goes. I'm not pressed for time, but I hate long shows, and we already been on here for an hour and a half. It's not me. I just, as a consumer, sometimes I kind of daze off, so I never get to watch stuff like this long. But a couple ones I for sure want to hit: UCLA, Minnesota. I have actually a week 1 pick with the Northwestern. Moose, y'all got any other ones y'all want to touch on for sure?
Yeah, let me finish up on Iowa because I got a couple of got a couple points here that are kind of cool.
Okay, you got any more than that? So I can line them up.
Minnesota, 100% Minnesota. I want to talk Minnesota. Yeah, that's
all right. So we'll finish Iowa. We'll do these other 3 more: UCLA, Minnesota, and Northwestern, and then we'll just 1-liner, 2-liner the rest out, so we could try to get out of here in a decent time, man. Time is money, man, and we ain't got much of both. But go ahead, Moose, take it over on Iowa.
All right, Wine Time already kind of alluded to this, and Big Boss, you also alluded to this about Ferentz at home. His record at home, 125-48, 125 wins and only 48 losses. That is unbelievable. And you look at how he returns like 61.2% of his Letterman from last year, which is the 26th most in the country. Mark Gronkowski, an FCS transfer that I really like. 1 point on Gronkowski. Yeah, he is the Gronkowski. He is of the Gronkowski ilk. He is from that brethren. The other point that I want to put out is Caleb Johnson last year. He the 2,564 yards last year. Caleb Johnson accounted for 1,600 of them. He almost accounted for half of the offense last year. So the question is Kamari Moulton going to come in and be the top guy? At times last year, he did look like he was going to be the running back of the future. Does he actually take that step and do that? The other note I will put about Phil Parker is he has been one of the best defensive coordinators in terms of limiting big plays. Last year, Iowa ranked in the top 5 in terms of echo rate, which is the ability to have big plays going into the red zone or in scoring from outside of the red zone. They are one of the top 5 teams in preventing echo, and they've been constantly one of the teams that prevents big plays. I do like this Iowa team. I'm not sure if they get to that 7.5. I'm a little lower on them than Wine Time is, but I do really like them, and I have them above other programs like USC.
Nice. I like it. I agree with you. Even though I'm high on SC. A lot of that stuff is on the betting perspective, looking for getting points, catching them as dogs and all that kind of stuff. But I get it 100%. So let's move over to, you guys been itching for this one. This good old Minnesota right here. Y'all really like the way PJ Fleck's the fleck dresses, man. But he's in his ninth year over here at Minnesota. Last year he was 8-5. He returned 7-6. Freshman quarterback Lindsey. I mean, I know today is a fast paced thing, but I'm not. I can't until I've seen it and it's proven. I can't go put my money on no 19-year-old with $500,000 in the bank having fun in the middle of Minnesota. But I don't trust a lot that's going on with Minnesota. But what I do defer that people saying they're gonna be tough in the trenches, the opposite side of the trenches, and PJ Fleck, he's gonna get it together. He always does. It just never has. You have to have the top number one offensive line, but he gets the line that fits his system. So I expect him to take care of that. I mean, I expect him to compete at a high level. Playoffs for Minnesota, I don't know. A good bowl game, good possibility. 7-6 returning. They had a good run last year, but quarterback scares me. Some of the additions that they have scare me, and I'm just gonna watch PJ Fleck. For the most part, I try to avoid this guy. Go for it, Moose.
I love their running back situation. I mean, Drake Lindsey as a freshman. Yeah, I'm not overly stoked on that. I mean, but they did bring in Max Brosmer last year from the FCS, and it took some time. But here's my big thing with them is I love the running back group. When you are returning Darius Taylor, who was one of the best running backs last year, and you're also adding in AJ Turner from Marshall, and you're also adding in Cam Davis from Washington, who has over 1,000 yards in his career. I mean, look, Taylor is capable of handling the mail on his own, but you now have two other backs. This reminds me of a couple of years ago when you had that running back group that was considered the best in the country, but then you just lost like one by one to season-ending injuries. This team reminds me of that, and if this is a running back group that actually stays healthy and is able to get onto the field, listen to this O-line. Every single lineman on the offensive line, the projected starters, is at least 6'6" and 320 pounds. They're large. They're large human beings, and they could have the best rushing attack in the country. The defense is a bit of a question mark, but they did promote Danny Collins to DC, and he's going to be running what's called Havoc, which is how attack, violence, one, compete. And it does fit with PJ Fleck's whole row the boat narrative in terms of everybody has their job. Everybody needs to do what they're supposed to do. The defense should have a little bit of regression because there is a lot of talent that was lost, but I don't see enough regression in the defense to make me think that they're all of a sudden going to be a defense you can circle as somebody we can attack. They are projected to give up an average of 21 points, and last year they gave up 18. So they're still going to be pretty much a borderline elite defense. Not as good as last year, but very good. I think the offense got upgraded. The defense got downgraded a little bit. We're going to see a similar team. I do think that they're going to compete. I don't have them as a Big Ten contender, but I do think that they are going to be in a good-sized bowl game this upcoming year and a team that as a dog you are going to be able to back.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Moose. I mean, I like Minnesota probably a lot more than both of you guys here going into this season. I'm trying to pull up their schedule as we talk here. You guys heard me mention them. I mean, I have them number 7 in my power rankings. Mostly they're 12 in a lot of these other power rankings, but I think for good reason. I like what PJ Fleck is building over there. I want to pull up their schedule really quick. I like their schedule. I like Darius Taylor. I thought he was one of the top running backs in the Big Ten last year. And then, like you said, you bring in AJ Turner, you bring in guys like Cam Davis. Drake Lindsey, a redshirt freshman, doesn't have a lot of experience. He did learn a lot from a guy like Max Brosmer, who signed an undrafted free agent deal. Is still playing on some team. I forgot what it was, but he definitely did learn a lot from him. He had a lot of experience playing college football. Still remains to be seen. That's the biggest question mark, I think, on this offense. I think when you grab a guy like Logan Loya from UCLA, I mean, it doesn't get grittier than this. I mean, PJ Fleck talks about his receivers willing to block. This kid will block, but he will be rewarded for it in those short passes when he takes it for, 40 yards because this kid is wicked fast. I've seen it firsthand. I remember in the DTR days, and DTR has been out of college for a while now. I mean, Logan Loya was one of his guys Logan Loya, I mean, this guy's going to be playing in the league one day, which is kind of crazy to say. He's not going to get drafted. He's going to sign an undrafted free agent deal, and he's going to make a team somewhere, and a team's going to be like, wow, this kid loves to play football. He's going to go out there and give it his all every time. You got a guy like Javon Tracy as well. You brought him over from Miami, Ohio, who had 800 yards in 2024. Another one of those receivers that's not afraid to block for you. They return a lot of their starters from last year. There's not a lot of turnover on this team. I have this as a top 10 team in the Big Ten. I have them at a 7 right now for a reason. I have high expectations for them. I think they can win 8, maybe 9 games here this season. I think 8 games is probably going to be it for them. But for PJ Fleck and the resources he has, the NIL money he has over there, got to also talk about Coy Parrish, man. I mean, this guy's one of the best players in college football. This guy can do it all, in the back end on that defense. He can also return kicks. This kid's very versatile. This is a potential first round pick in 2027. He's a true sophomore. He can't even go to the draft this year. We saw what he did last year. This is one of the best defensive backs in the nation. And this kid's like 19 or 20 years old. This is a first round pick potentially. And I love his instincts out there on the field. I like Minnesota this year, guys.
I like it, man. I like the way you went over that, man. Let's take it to one of your other team. This is right, but I'm gonna let you lead this. No, I'll open it, but I'm gonna let you take the wheel on this one after I open it. But let's jump into UCLA. Them Bruins is out there. Deshaun Foster, second year, last year 5-7. He's returning 5 on offense, 6 on defense. I'm not a fan of nothing that's going on. I don't even really buy into Nico being over there. It's nothing too much on this UCLA team that I see in the second year. But I know one thing. You can only go so far down before you come up. And 5-7 is pretty low for UCLA. And maybe 7 wins this year. 7, UCLA is fine. With 10-win season, they cool. But the closer you get to 10, the longer you get to keep your job. So I don't know with UCLA. Take it away, Wine.
Yeah, boss, it's funny. Every time we talk UCLA football, I know everything that's going on. This is one of the very few teams I haven't actually still broken down yet in the Big Ten. I can tell you a little bit something from the outside in, though. Bringing in a guy like Javion Thomas from Cal, the running back, that's a Deshaun Foster type of running back to pair up with Jalen Berger in that backfield. I think they're going to be one of the better duos in the Big Ten coming out of the backfield. I think they're going to be a run-first offense. I think Nico, they're going to ask him to do very minimal, kind of like to do what Curtis Rourke did last year and just get the ball to his playmakers and get them in space and see what they can do with it with the ball in their hands. I think there's only so much you can do. Bringing in an OC like Tino Sinceri, he's never actually been a play caller, a full-time play caller, and he is the full-time. I mean, everything's Foster will always tell you it goes by him, but I can tell you what, I mean, Tino's definitely out there. He's talking to the quarterbacks. He's the quarterback coach. Him and Nico became really close these last couple months. But at the same time, I question Nico's big throw ability in the big-time games. I question a lot of things. Does he have a good stature out there at 6'6"? Absolutely. Can he throw the deep ball? Absolutely. But I need to see it firsthand with this offense. It's going to be a new offense for him to learn. Do I think they are better than last year? Absolutely. I do think they can win 7 games. I think they can go maybe 6-6, 7-5 this year, which will be an improvement from last year. And considering the miles they took last year, it's going to depend on Utah week 1. That's going to be a big game right there if they win that game. If they don't win that game, I don't know. They're going to be in for a long season. I don't have a lot of information specifically. They lost a couple of my guys like Logan Loya, like J. Michael Sturdivant, like TJ Harden, guys that I thought would flourish this season under Tino Sinceri. But the late hire for Tino Sinceri, these guys were already in the portal, and he just I guess he didn't want to bring them back in. I was really hoping he was going to call all 3 of those guys and say, guys, like, come back to Westwood. I got you guys this year. Wasn't the case. They brought in a lot of transfers. Deshaun Foster seems very more loosey-goosey going into this year. He seems a little bit more comfortable actually being the head coach. Last year, it seemed like he's very stressed out early on in fall camp. They were asking him questions, and he was just like didn't even know what he was saying because it seemed like he just wasn't ready for it. Definitely seems a lot more ready this year. I question that the Big Ten is loaded. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do this year. Hopefully they can win 6 games, 7 games. That's an improvement, I think, for UCLA. Moose, take it away, my guy. I know you've got a good breakdown on this one.
I'll again, the Nico situation is, if you're not aware of kind of everything that happened, the timeline of how it all played out, it is a big reason why I think UCLA could really struggle this year. So Nico was actually with Tennessee through spring, and he had told coaches, like, I need a mental break after, struggling towards the end of the year. So he took a mental break, and reports were coming out that Heupel and Nico had essentially smoothed things over. And then the next thing you know, you're getting reports that Nico's team had asked for a $4 million NIL deal, and he was missing practice. And one of the days he missed practice, there was also one of the days that one of the reports came out that this team asked for $4 million. So there was a rumor going around that he was talking with his agent and he missed practice to try to secure the NIL deal, and he would only practice if he had secured that money. So he goes to UCLA. Joey Aguilar was actually in camp, was supposed to be the number one. And then when Nico comes, the two essentially just kind of swapped. And Nico does not have a spring to learn the offense. He has worked with Foster. He's worked with Sinceri. He's worked with the wide receivers. But it's different, with working with your individual position groups versus actually working against the first team defense. That's one of the things that I have major questions about. And if you haven't done the research on the whole Nico situation, I do have it detailed in my Moose Dive, which I do give out for free. The other major question I have is on the defensive side of the ball, specifically the defensive coordinator. I'm not sure exactly how you say the name there, Wine. You might be able to help me here. Kaiki Maloa. He returns as the DC, and he was the co-defensive coordinator at Washington when they had one of the best pass defenses in the country, allowing under 200 passing yards. But what's not written is that he was significantly boosted by Jimmy Lake as the head coach, because Jimmy Lake was a defensive back guru. He is a secondaries coach guru, and he was really beneficial from being able to learn a lot of the things that he does, some of the systems that he uses. And you saw last year secondary, Wine Time, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the secondary going into last year had a lot of hype. There was a lot of like, hey, these are some legit DBs. These are some legit cornerbacks, some safeties that can absolutely ball hawk, and they underperformed greatly. And now you look at this offense, this defense, which essentially has 6 starters return, but a lot of the production from last year left.
Oh, yeah.
14.2% of tackles from last year are gone. And the pass defense is a concern because the front 7 doesn't look like it might be able to generate much pass rush. So it could be another season of the secondary having to essentially kind of figure things out. And I'm not confident that Malloy is going to be able to make the adjustment, because he didn't make it last year. So what makes me think he's going to make it this year? So I'm not a huge fan of UCLA. I do think we're going to have some spots where we might be able to take them as a dog, as a home favorite, but I am not thinking that UCLA is going to be pushing this year and push past the 500 mark.
I feel you 100% on that. Let's keep it moving. For the rest of them, we're going to just kind of do this first thought and just keep it moving, because it's a lot of teams in here. I do appreciate you guys hanging in with me today. Appreciate my chat right there hanging in. My man OE been hanging in with us for almost a couple hours now. Appreciate you, my boy. Next up, I'm going to go to this Northwestern one right here. I have a play on this one. Northwestern week 1 versus Tulane. It was 7.5, but now it's down to 6.5. Northwestern plus 6.5. Big 10 sees Tulane. Tulane's missing some pieces and some coaches and some more stuff from last year. They got a lot of moving parts going on over there. David Braun, 3rd year, gets back 7-8. New offensive coordinator. The defense could actually take a step up this year. And last year they lost to a lot of senseless turnovers and not being disciplined. So first week out, I think this is the books just trying to be a little cute. And, I think Northwestern probably wins outright on that one as well. But anybody else got anything on Northwestern?
Preston Stone, Cam Turner.
Yeah, Preston Stone. I like Preston Stone. He's a playmaker, even
Cam
though
Porter.
he's kind of like, but at the end of the day, he's a playmaker. Let's see. First thought right here, Bruce. Washington Huskies. Jed Fish, 2nd year. What do you think about that one?
All right. Well, he actually has an offseason now, because when he was brought in last year, he was brought in really late. He wasn't able to establish kind of what he wants to do. So it is going to be a full offseason of him being able to do what he wants. And when he had a full offseason in Arizona, he was very good. What does a full offseason at Washington mean? Not necessarily sure. And they do lose. No, Jonah Coleman is back. So
yeah, Jonah Coleman's back.
So that's a huge return. It's just a matter of what happens in a full off season under Jed Fish.
First off for you, Wayne.
Yeah, I agree. I like that they brought in Ryan Walters, the head coach of Purdue last year, to run the DC to replace Belichick. I thought Belichick did a good job with the defense last year. I think Washington only takes a step forward this year, though.
Me first thought, looks like a learning year for Fitch over there, but I do expect them to get a couple sleeper wins. Don't count them all the way out in every game. I think they maybe have an upset or two under their sleeve. Next up, Wisconsin. I just wish Luke Fickell was better. I almost wanted Luke Fickell to come to Notre Dame. Luke Fickell has been a shit show at Wisconsin, and it must be stopped. But he's trying a lot to switch it around, and you can tell he's a little disturbed by it. But he got a really tough schedule this year. He ain't gonna get nothing out of that. What you think, Moose? First thought on Wisconsin.
Dude, that schedule is ridiculous. They play Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, Illinois. Didn't even mention Iowa, Washington, and Minnesota. Billy, yeah, that's a ridiculous schedule. Billy Edwards at quarterback, not necessarily the best kind of transfer to bring in. So, yeah, there are questions. But the one thing that I do think they might have is they might have a pretty solid running back duo over there. So that'll need to be seen.
Yeah, that's the traditional Wisconsin. They were saying that they don't know if Fickell's moving away from tradition or coming back to tradition. But either way it go, like you said, that schedule doesn't help anything. What you think, Wine?
Yeah, Wisconsin, they've got too tough of a schedule here. I like some of the moves they made in this offseason, but we can move past Wisconsin. I don't have a lot to say about Wisconsin.
My man, Big Ragu in the chat. What you think about Wisconsin? That's one of the teams. Big Ragu is pretty good on. Next up, Rutgers, man. I really liked Rutgers last year. They surprised me in a lot of ways. I hope that they keep building on that, and I hope we in the Big Ten with the type of competition, the type of hard work you're gonna have to do to get better. If they actually get better, they really might have some. But how long are they gonna hold on to this coach? With the 7 and 4 and 5 wins here and there and stuff like that. I think he can get this program moving, but I don't know how far it's going to go in 2025. I'm thinking maybe 6 wins. What you got, Wine?
Yeah, for Rutgers, I mean, Greg Schiano enters year 17 as a head coach for Rutgers. I mean, he knows how to build a culture, and he is a pretty old school type of coach still, as they would say. Athan Kalkamaneas returns as the quarterback. They bring back the entire offensive line from last season for at least 4 of the 5 guys. Rutgers, I think they can maybe make a bowl game. I have the Rutgers as 14 in my power rankings. As of now, this was a couple weeks ago when I wrote these down, but I do think Rutgers could maybe win 6 games this year. I think that's probably their ceiling, 6, maybe 7. They do lose Kyle Monangai to the NFL. I don't know. It's Rutgers is kind of a tough team. I do think they can make some noise this year. We can find value on them at home at times this year when teams are in rough road situations, but not too much for me here with the Rutgers.
Yeah, at times last year they did good on defense, and they also did good in the running game. So, what you think, Moose? Over 6 wins for Rutgers?
Maybe just because Rutgers does have that kind of home field advantage, especially in the Big Ten, where a lot of these teams from the West Coast are going to have to travel all the way across. I don't know what to think of AK. He had times where he looked really good. You know, he threw for over 2,500 yards and had an 18-7 touchdown, but a 54% completion percentage. That is not good as a quarterback. You do not want to be in the 50s if you are a quarterback with your completion percentage. The one thing I will note is Kyle Monangai was just getting driven into the ground last year. Even missing a game, he still finished 7th in the country, missing 1.5 games. He still finished 7th in the country in carries of the 2,696 rushing yards last year. Monangai had half of them with 1,300 yards. So what's the offense going to look like? They do have some solid running backs come in here. One thing I do like, I like the receiving core, bringing back 2 of the top 3, and they add DT Sheffield from North Texas. Not sure what the offense is going to look like. The rush defense is a big problem, but Greg Schiano has generally done really well with rush from Rutgers. But I think as a home dog, that's always the time to take Rutgers.
Humbled up on his feet, 5-7. This is a coach I feel you'd never count him out. He's a smart guy, and he's I guess you say he's a little surprising at times. You know how well he fits in over here at Michigan State. We yet to see, but I wish him the best 5th year before you see a Michigan State team that 5.
Yeah, sorry, my wife's we over there for a Big Ten schedule. I'm not a fan of this Michigan State team by any means.
Child's last year, the times that I put my money on him, he did me. When I looked past him, he did me again. What you got on Michigan State, Moose?
Nick Marsh. I mean, he's poised to become an NFL draft prospect along with Veiling. I mean, they got one of the best receiving cores in the country. Preseason ranked as the 15th best receiving core in the country. But it's Ely Chile back there. I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do. He was more of he threw for 2,400 yards, but 11 interceptions and 13 touchdowns. Not great. Can he actually get the ball to his receivers consistently? The defense is a huge question. It is a pretty limited ceiling and a very low floor.
Is that how you say that? Ely Chile?
No, I threw that in there. I'm not
sure.
sure.
Say it sounds nice though. I'm calling him that forever now. Remind me of one of my greatest Mexican dishes.
Chile, yeah, exactly. That's where I got
it. Let's go on over to the next one. Maryland. We're almost down here. Not much, and this is why I kind of like to speed it up towards the end because I don't want to beat a dog head in. Some teams at the bottom, they just at the bottom in some conference. But let's go for it. Maryland right here. That's our guy, Mark Lockley, 7 year, last year 4-8. I don't know what these guys really got to offer out here, but Mike Lockley, he's kind of stubborn in the way that he's coaches, and I think it kind of holds him back. But he's looking bad in the trenches, bad in the transfer portal, bad in talent overall. So it's not too many high points that I could really say anything positive about this Maryland team. Anybody got anything good on Maryland?
I have a random bet if I could place it, but I don't think I could possibly place it. But I think Pep Hamilton takes over as head coach at some point this season.
I can see that because Mike Lockley's becoming a stubborn guy. In our ever-changing society that we have, they have no tolerance for that. Millennial, whatever they are. Oh, yeah, they don't got no time for none of that. Yeah, they have no time for none of that. Either you do what you're supposed to do or you get out the way.
Yeah, but Pep Hamilton's he's a guy that runs the no-coast offense, which relies on the running game, and Maryland has been a passing attack. That is not a good fit. So why is it that Pep Hamilton was brought in, who's not a good fit for the offense? I think it's because they're going to transition away from Loxley to Pep Hamilton, and he will take over. He was actually brought in to interview for the head coach position before he was hired as the offense coordinator.
Oh, wow.
That makes sense. I wish I could get in on that bet with you. But it's
if
probably
minus. Let me know. If you find
it's probably
it,
minus 150. It's probably minus 150. Let's go into the last, but not least, but the least. And only thing I can say about Purdue this year is poor Barry Odom. Even though he makes his own decision, he's a grown man. But you go all the way from Las Vegas to Indiana, and ain't nothing left in Indiana for you to total restart. I mean, he did a really good job with UNLV, but he was in much lower conference, which gave him room to expand that fast. I mean, the type of beatdowns that he might get in the Big Ten this year, I don't know, man. I like Barry Odom. I love what he did with UNLV. We made a lot of money off UNLV. I like his running scheme that he has over there. I like the aggression on the defense. If he was able to get the best out of those, smaller size players at UNLV, I mean, eventually he's going to get the best with these big guys. But he goes all the way in, too. Like, he lets you know I'm over here hurting. They say he almost 70 new players to Purdue. He like, man, he trying to pull a rabbit out his ass right now. But I haven't seen that work. Lane Kiffin is the top talent puller in from ever. Dion pulled in all kinds of kids. And, even though you can do it nowadays, I don't think makes any type of success overall. So Purdue up the creek without a paddle. What y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, at least he brought his DC with him, so it could get better as the season goes on. But man, this is
Yeah.
oh
You know
man,
what? That would be a good thing to look for. That you may be able to catch him as a dog late in the season is how well do they improve each week?
yeah,
Because you just have some coaches that's a talent of theirs either. I mean, also is that each week, you've seen teams that start off losing 0-2 or something, but each week after that they continue to expand. And Barry Odom has that type of coaching talent and skill, but I don't know what he got left over there in Purdue, and I don't know how much money Purdue put up to bring in all these guys. And that's what that matters nowadays, because the transfer thing is all, some of these guys are second and third year players, and they pulling them over and making a big deal about it. So
yeah.
that's it. We could go on and on with that, but we did a good job, fellas. We kept it at 2 hours and 6 minutes, and my man Wine got to go do some duties for the family, and I'm pretty sure my man Moose, you working during the summer, or they got you off too?
School's back, man. School's already back.
What? School's back?
Yeah.
What a
students,
bummer.
Yeah, students report on Wednesday. I've already reported back for my full-time teaching, so I've already had plenty of meetings and learning how to do attendance with the new attendance system we got. So yeah.
Wow. I remember way back in the day, one of my good friends was a junior high school teacher. He was so fed up with the junior high school kids. He said, "I just tell them down. Before I sign your slip to let you in my class, can you sit down and shut up?"
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's been a blast, man. Make sure y'all. Oh, I got a couple other stuff to do real quick before we go. But make sure y'all tap in with my man Wine and PSR. Y'all come on what 7 a.m. West Coast?
9 a.m. now.
Oh, y'all coming in 9 a.m.
7 a.m. West Coast, yeah.
7 a.m. West Coast. Yeah, y'all come on.
No,
Right
9 a.m. West Coast.
The game started at 9. Which
game started at 9.
Oh, games. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you guys said. Yeah, game started at 9 a.m.
Yeah. We always working together, man. Wine and Moose going at 7. Boston the Sauce goes on at 8. Make sure y'all come join both of us, and we just gonna have a great season and keep cashing it up, man. Also, in case y'all didn't know, my man Wine Time is confirmed. I'm confirmed. We're gonna be having a big shindig out in Atlantic City coming in September. Here's the promo reel. At Who-Bangin Sports, we not only deliver the content and the picks, y'all, we also bring the noise. Join us live in beautiful Atlantic City, New Jersey for the Who-Bangin 2025 annual meetup. Yeah! Mark your calendars. The Who-Bangin Sports Talk meetup runs from September 18th to the 21st, 2025 in Atlantic City. Now, this just isn't a meetup, y'all. This is an opportunity for you to grow your network, share some strategies, and celebrate our passions for sports betting. Oh yeah, we're gonna get this party started right. Friday night, 4 p.m. We're hanging out with the Live Sweat. Now imagine waking up Saturday morning, college football with breakfast with the boss of the sauce at 10 a.m. Location to be announced. Sunday, last day for a fun day. We'll be hanging out for some Sunday night NFL football, 8 p.m. Location to be announced. And do me a favor, y'all. Make sure you like and follow. Register with us by email or Twitter X. All registered attendees will receive a gift set. Compliments from Who-Bangin Sports Talk. I'm DJ Big Boss, and I'm out. Yeah, all is welcome, man. We're going to be out in AC in September, having a blast. Breakfast with Boss and the Sauce. Who-Bangin Bingo with the Sunday night game. So anybody listening in the area, whatever, rates are still cheap, man. Tap in, man. We doing that thing, man. But we're gonna go ahead and slide out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. We're gonna be back with some more stuff. Maybe next Saturday I'll have some more free time. We can do something on Saturday, but maybe we go over the get the next big monster out the way. We go over the SEC. But we're gonna get out of here, man. We appreciate everybody for showing up, and we're out.
The Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show. Here we go.